Chapter 48:16. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian smirked coldly. He was still far from being able to fight with him. Go and devour the 3 spirit beasts. Turning around, he dashed towards the other 3 spirit veins. The 3 spirit beasts wanted to give chase as well. They had been guarding the king of medicine for so many years, all for the sake of devouring him and turning him into a living being. But who would have thought that the king of medicine would be snatched away by someone else? Intolerable. The 3 spirit beasts soared into the air and chased after Lin Xian. But just then a figure stopped them. The 3 of you stay. Humans are ants. Get lost. Those who block my way will die. The 3 spirit beasts were enraged. Bai Susu was terrified as well. What was Lin Xian trying to do? Lin Xian's body shone brightly. Endless flames covered the entire world, forming a furnace that covered everything. In the next moment he dashed towards the 3 spirit beasts. Opening the mysterious small world, the 3 spirit beasts roared and slashed their claws. But in an instant they were swallowed into the space. When they appeared, they were immediately pressed to the ground by an invisible force. Damn it, who dares to plot against me? Damned human, what kind of despicable method did you use? Get out here. The 3 spirit beasts roared. Why are the 3 of you here too? Just then a voice rang out. The spirit tiger was stunned. Then it roared, Spirit dragon, damn it, how dare you come out? You're the one who snatched the king of medicine. You've broken our rules. The spirit dragon gritted its teeth. It wasn't me. I was trapped by this human brat. Hurry up and break out. This place is terrifying. A lot of my energy has been sucked away. I don't have much left. The spirit turtle looked around and asked, Where are you? He looked around. It was a desolate scene. There didn't seem to be any spirit dragon. I'm here. The voice rang out. The spirit sparrow spread its wings and flew. It could only fly a few meters high, which shocked him. The spirit tiger exclaimed. It looked at a small mound in front of it and asked in shock, Is this you? The spirit dragon's voice rang out. That's right, it's me. How is this possible? The 3 spirit beasts were stunned. Their bodies were supreme-grade spirit veins that spanned millions of miles and contained endless energy and spirit chi. How could it be a small mound? They felt like they had been tricked. This was an illusion. The 3 of them roared. Lin Xian walked over and said, There was no need to be shocked. He was indeed your companion. Not only that, the 3 of you will also have to obediently turn into 3 mounds here. Lin Xian waved his hand. He stretched out his hand and grabbed at the space in front of him. The 3 spiritual beasts wanted to resist, but their powers were already being devoured by the earth. It was rapidly weakening. All 3 of them had spirit beasts that had turned into spirit veins. When they landed on the ground, they let out terrified cries. No. Lin Xian smiled and placed the 4 spirit veins in a square, which could be used as a valley. From now on, all of his experiments could be carried out in this valley. The valley wasn't big, but it was formed by 4 supreme-grade spiritual veins. The soil in the valley should have changed a little. Lin Xian chuckled before turning around to leave. You guys can slowly get used to this place. He turned to Bai Susu and said, Let's go and chase after that fellow. Bai Susu was stunned. What was going on? Where were the 3 spiritual beasts? She was surprised. She couldn't see through the furnace of heaven and earth. Lin Xian smiled mysteriously. They had gone to where they should go. The 2 of them rose into the air and flew into the distance. On the other side, Gu Feng was in a bad situation. His face was dark. Damn Lin Xian. He gritted his teeth at the thought of Lin Xian. He had already defeated Lin Xian, but Lin Xian revealed his identity at the last moment, causing countless people to chase after him. He was a genius of the Gu family. He had mastered spatial magic and cultivated the void scripture. He was extremely powerful and should be able to defeat everyone. Unfortunately, none of the people here were weak. They were all top powerhouses of the 3 great orthodoxies and the clan of the ancients. Fortunately, he had cultivated the void scripture. Otherwise, he would have been beaten to a pulp long ago. Leave the king of herbs here. At this moment, a cold shout was heard. A figure flew over from afar and turned into a peerless saber. He slashed down with a force that could destroy heaven and earth. The power was so strong that it made Gu Feng's hair stand on end. He thought that Lin Xian had come. However, it wasn't Lin Xian. It was a peerless saber wielder. Gu Feng used the great void shift and dodged the attack. His face turned cold. He was already surrounded by people. The peerless saber wielder in front of him was extremely terrifying. It was Small Saber God. He was here too. Countless people exclaimed. Gu Feng frowned. He had heard of Small Saber God before. He was a peerless saber wielder of the heavenly saber mansion. He was titled Saber God, so one could imagine how terrifying his saber techniques were. Void exile. He created a terrifying spatial crack and banished himself into a dimensional space. He wanted to leave. Small Saber God shouted angrily and displayed a few sabers. At the same time, another person attacked from the other side. A golden fan made of intertwined feathers burned like the sun and shrouded the area below. You want to leave? Leave the King of Herbs here. A cold voice sounded. Gu Feng's face turned ugly. This person was an expert from the Golden Crow race. Damn it. The weapon he used was refined from the wings of an ancient golden crow. It was extremely powerful. He used the Great Void Shift and moved the terrifying flame to the other side. Seal him. He couldn't be allowed to escape. Nailin Yenran also walked out. The orchid behind her froze the area. Orchids were incomparably tough. Ordinary orchids could grow on mountains, let alone such a natural phenomenon. The entire area seemed to be sealed. In addition, the people from the Tao sect and the Heaven sect also came. There were also the clan of the Ancients and the great factions. There were many people. Gu Feng's face darkened. With so many people attacking together, even if he could escape, he would be injured. It was very likely that he would be surrounded by everyone. This was because these people had very strong identities and methods. If he brought out a few more powerful trump cards, he would be in danger. He looked into the distance and said, "Fellow disciples of the Earth sect, help me." Someone from the Earth sect walked over with a smile. "Junior brother Gu, we are from the same sect. Naturally, we have to help. However, after this, will we share the Herb King?" "Of course. How can I take such a thing for myself? I will definitely share it with my senior brothers." Gu Feng smiled. However, he gritted his teeth in his heart. Who cares about the oath? He had to get through this first. All right. The people from the Earth sect laughed. They waved their hands and walked over. "Everyone, Gu Feng is from the Earth sect. We have already obtained the Herb King. Could it be that you want to snatch it? Cut the crap. Everyone who saw the treasure has a share." Nailin Yenran snorted coldly. The others also had cold expressions. They were going to give away the treasure just like that? They were unwilling. Chapter 48:17. At this moment, someone screamed. Countless people turned their heads in shock. In the next moment, they saw an expert from the Earth sect being beaten into a bloody mist. Who was it? The people from the Earth sect were furious. They saw a figure that looked like a god of war walking over. The power on his body was so terrifying that it brought about a vision of heaven and earth. Yu Wudao. Seeing this, Gu Feng's face turned cold. The others exclaimed as well. Was he the Yi family's saint body? So strong. On the other side, endless light flashed as someone roared. Everyone was shocked. What speed? Could it be someone from the Light Clan? How strong? These were all people with the ancient body. It seemed that the Heaven sect had become even stronger. Countless ancient families and sects were shocked. Even the people from the Earth sect looked cold. The man in the lead roared, and then a great battle broke out. Light was extremely fast. He charged towards Gu Feng and arrived beside him in an instant. Gu Feng's pupils shrank. It was indeed fast. It was almost like teleportation. But so what if it was fast? Could it be compared to his space mystique? His body turned illusory as he dodged the attack. Then he slapped out. On the other side, Yi Wudao also charged towards an expert. It was an expert from the Earth sect who had been famous for a long time. However, Yi Wudao was equally terrifying. A great battle broke out in an instant. It was terrifying. In the void far away, two figures stood, looking into the distance with flickering eyes. Bai Susu said. She couldn't believe that so many experts had come this time. Even two people with the ancient body were here. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. Old friends? Then he looked at the experts from the Earth sect and Heaven sect. His eyes were also shining. He looked at Bai Susu and said, "Wait here. I'll go and meet them." "Are you going to fight?" Bai Susu was shocked. Lin Xian nodded. In the next moment, a terrifying flame burst out from his body, illuminating the entire world. He charged forward. The people fighting in the front were stunned. They sensed the arrival of a powerful figure. Who was it? Many people looked over, but they couldn't see the face. All they saw was a golden fire god charging towards them. Boom. He threw a punch at one of the figures. That person tried his best to resist, but he was still sent flying by the punch. A black hole appeared in the sky. Countless people were shocked. How terrifying. Who was it? Who wants to fight me? After Lin Xian arrived, he was incomparably domineering, like a god. Gu Feng's expression was cold. Was this guy here again? His body became dim as he prepared to teleport. Leaf Doudinier's eyes glittered as he could sense Lin Xian's physique. No one dared to. Lin Xian looked around and stared at a figure. The saber light on that person's body was biting cold. Small Knife God also frowned. His eyes shone with a cold light. Did the other party want to fight him? This was especially so after Xiao Qun discovered that the other party had the aura of the Heavenly Saber Mansion's blood. You've killed people from the Heavenly Blade sect. He slashed out with his saber. They quickly retreated. Countless people were terrified. Although there were many geniuses here, including those with the ancient desolate body, Dagger God was probably the most terrifying one. Although he didn't have the ancient desolate body, he had been famous for a long time and his saber technique was extremely powerful. If the saber slashed down, the flaming figure would definitely die. What a sharp saber. Lin Xian laughed. This time he was here to fight to his heart's content. The 9 suns divine fire on his body condensed into a flaming divine sword. He held it in his hand and slashed forward. With a clang, the saber and sword collided. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Boom. Saber light and sword shadows flashed between heaven and earth. Lin Xian sneered, "Show me your full strength." He slashed out again. It was like 9 suns opening the sky. Boom. Dagger God was furious. His eyes shone with a terrifying light as he held the saber with both hands. The peerless saber. He was really angry. Did the other party dare to challenge him? A sky-shattering sound was heard and the void shattered. The destructive power swept through the 9 heavens. After the attack, a figure was sent flying. Countless people were shocked. Their faces were filled with horror because they realized that it was Dagger God who was sent flying. Dagger God's face was pale, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. Who was this flaming figure? It was unbelievable that he could injure Dagger God. Interesting. Let me try. At this moment, another person walked out. It was the same person from before. The leader was a powerhouse from the Earth sect. He had fought with Yi Wudao before. Now that he saw Lin Xian, he turned around and strode over. With every step he took, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Countless people exclaimed. The Overlord. Was he going to attack too? The Overlord's eyes were filled with a terrifying light. Take my punch. His fist bloomed with an unparalleled light as if it had turned into the fist of the war god. Wherever it passed, the entire world was shattered. The flaming sword in Lin Xian's hand disappeared. At the same time, he clenched his fist and punched out, turning into a golden crow that roared between heaven and earth. With an earth-shattering sound, the 2 fists collided. Then they each took 3 steps back. Millions of miles below, the mountains and rivers were shattered into nothingness. What was going on? Not only was this guy's sword technique powerful, but his physique was also so strong. He could actually fight against the Overlord. One had to know that only Yi Wudao, a sacred physique, could fight against the Overlord. However, the person in front of him did it. What kind of physique did he have? Behind them, Bai Susu was stunned. Wow, this guy was actually so powerful. No wonder he dared to challenge the Dragon Palace. The Path sect would probably not be peaceful in the future. In front, the Overlord was also stunned. In the next moment, an extremely bright light burst out from his eyes. I thought you were a peerless swordsman, but now it seems that your physique is also very powerful. It's not weaker than the Yi family's sacred physique. I don't know where your limit is. I was just being casual just now, but I'm going to be serious now. At this point he laughed loudly. The mountains in the distance kept shattering. No one could withstand his power. He had the strength to lift mountains and his aura was unparalleled. At this moment the Overlord was really powerful to the extreme. As one of the 3 great orthodoxies, the Earth sect did not have princes like the Dragon Prince and the Kunping Child. However, the experts in the sect were not weak at all. This Overlord was one of the representatives. He was very terrifying. On the other side, Lin Xian's blood was boiling. He did not expect to meet an expert with such a terrifying physique other than Yi Wudao. This made him very happy. Good, I didn't use my full strength just now. Now let's see if you can make me use my full strength. Lin Xian laughed and waved his fists. The entire sky turned into a sea of fire, forming an endless sun that descended. It was too terrifying. Countless people looked at this scene with shock. This mysterious man in flames was very powerful, far beyond their imagination. Chapter 48:18. Some people said, "What are you thinking?" Of course, the Overlord was stronger. Didn't you see how Yi Wudao was suppressed in his battle with Yi Wudao? Others said that Yi Wudao was young. Otherwise, his sacred physique would definitely be very strong. The overlord was also from the tyrants. Although the tyrants had never produced a great emperor, they could be called the uncrowned king in terms of strength. Even if Yi Wudao really had a greater mastery sacred physique, a greater mastery overlord physique was definitely not weak. As soon as he said that, everyone nodded. Indeed, in the past, there had been a greater mastery sacred physique and a greater mastery overlord physique. Both sides had won and lost. Now the overlord was taking it seriously. The flaming man. He was afraid that he was in danger. The overlord's fists had the power to split open the sky, making Lin Xian feel the pressure. Lin Xian also shouted wildly. His fists turned into the only thing in the world and he kept waving them. Every time the two of them collided, his arms would go numb and his blood would boil. However, his strength was getting stronger and stronger. An expert. Lin Xian admitted that his opponent was definitely a top expert. His blood was boiling. Only by fighting such a terrifying expert could he improve faster. The two of them fought from the sky to the ground like the earth to the sea. Everywhere they passed, everything turned to ashes. Countless people retreated, their faces filled with fear. The flaming man was too extraordinary. He could exchange 1,000 blows without being at a disadvantage. What kind of physique did he have? It must be the physique of the legend of the universe. Who was it? Sounds of discussion could be heard. At that moment, the overlord roared angrily. His aura could swallow mountains and rivers. He struck out with a peerless attack. The victor was about to be decided. Lin Xian roared as well, using the 9 Yang divine physique to the extreme. Phantoms of 9 suns appeared around him, surrounding him like a sun god. Fury of the 9 suns. Both palms struck out together and a sea of fire filled the sky. Countless rays of light intertwined in front of them, and everyone could not open their eyes. They could feel that the power was about to tear them apart. Quickly defend. Countless people opened their saint domains to defend themselves. Some people who did not have time to escape vomited blood. Some people even turned half of their bodies into a bloody mist. The two's attacks were terrifying. Damn it, has this guy become so terrifying? In the sky, a dimensional space appeared. Gu Feng's face was cold. 9 suns circling around him was the 9 Yang divine body Lin Xian. Damn it, the other party's growth had exceeded his expectations. Did you see that? The others also cried out in alarm. 9 suns surrounded him. This was the legendary 9 Yang divine body. This kind of physique had disappeared for many years. And now he had appeared in the buried Emperor Star again? The great success of the 9 Yang divine body was not weaker than the sacred body or the overlord body. No wonder he could compete with the overlord. Countless cries of surprise rang out. Many people's eyes turned red. The reputation of the legendary physique was not in vain. How is the battle going? Everyone looked over carefully. Amidst the shattered mountains and rivers, a figure retreated, leaving countless cracks in the ground. The tyrant retreated. His clothes were torn and some parts of his body were torn. One of his hands was also trembling non-stop. Although he tried his best to control it, it seemed that he could no longer control it. The overlord's eye erupted with a cold radiance as he gritted his teeth. The 9 Yang divine body had reappeared in the world. What a surprise, I didn't expect you to be able to cultivate the 9 Yang divine body to such an extent. You're actually able to suppress me. Countless people went into an uproar. Did this mean that the overlord was at a disadvantage in the battle just now? This was too inconceivable. Numerous shocked gazes looked at Lin Xian. You're very strong. Lin Xian nodded. I can only suppress you with just my physique. Indeed, if he only used the 9 Yang divine body to suppress his opponent, it would be easy to injure his opponent. However, it would not be easy to kill his opponent. Of course, if it was a life and death battle, it would be different. Lin Xian had many trump cards. His opponent must also have trump cards. These geniuses could not be underestimated. Therefore, no one would know until the final moment. However, in terms of physique, Lin Xian had won. 9 Yang divine body? What a surprise. Let me experience it as well. Another ice-cold voice sounded out. In the distance, endless frost condensed, forming an ice river that hung in the sky. In the land of the ice river, a figure quickly streaked across the sky. Then she stood at the top of the ice river and looked down. The ice wings on her body caused everyone to freeze. Bingling, she's here too? Nalan Yanran frowned. Yi Wudao, the overlord, and the others squinted their eyes. This woman was from the Blue Clan. Her bloodline was terrifying. It was said that she had a great opportunity. When she was training outside, she met a Nirvana Ice Phoenix and obtained the Ice Phoenix Divine Fruit. This made her ice bloodline even more terrifying. Bing Ling waved her hand and endless frost flew out, trying to freeze the world. Shadows of the sun circled around Lin Xian's body as boundless divine fire fought against it. The two of them collided in a silent confrontation. They melted and then froze. This was a strange scene. Everyone was dumbfounded. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect the Blue Clan to have such a genius. Lan Ziyu, Lan Zilu and the others were much stronger than them. No wonder the Blue Clan could stand tall in St. Origin Ancient City and become one of the top clans. Frost Sword. In the sky, Bing Ling waved her hand and the frost in the sky turned into divine swords and fell. Heaven and earth were sealed in ice and then shattered into pieces. Lin Xian snorted and waved his hand. The fire of 9 suns turned into the 9 heavens. Flames danced in the sky and turned into a fire dragon, roaring between heaven and earth. The collision between the ice sword and the fire dragon spread out in all directions. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. Since you want to experience my 9 suns' divine body, it won't be as simple as just flames. His feet moved and the skywalk step burst out. Together with the strength of his body, he turned into a peerless divine sword. In an instant he split open the void and rushed forward. Not good. Countless people exclaimed. Bing Ling was in danger. The 9 suns' divine body had endless life and a terrifying body. In close combat, Bing Ling did not have the advantage. Lin Xian advanced courageously, crushing everything in his path. Bing Ling roared and froze. She stretched out her hand and slapped forward. In the palm of her hand, an icy light pillar flew out and froze everything. Thousands of layers of ice appeared around Lin Xian and froze him in the void. But in an instant, those layers of ice shattered. Lin Xian charged forward like the sun again. What a terrifying power. Bing Ling frowned. She stepped lightly and floated backward. At the same time, she waved her hand and a snowstorm gathered. Once he entered her domain, everything would slow down. As expected, Lin Xian's speed was not as fast as before. But he still charged forward with a terrifying aura. Finally, he arrived in front of her and punched. Bing Ling did not panic. Instead, a smile appeared on her face. Ice barrier. She opened her palms and a barrier instantly enveloped Lin Xian. Chapter 48-19. She was sealed. Countless people were shocked. It seemed that the Ice Spirit sect was better. Bing Ling laughed. Looks like you're the one who lost. But in the next moment she was stunned. She realized that the enchantment was breaking quickly, and a figure was gradually becoming clear. Then a fist came towards her. Retreat. With a bang the enchantment was broken and Bing Ling was pushed back by the punch. Crack crack crack. She retreated far away, and then countless cracks appeared on Bing Ling's body. With a crack she broke into countless ice cubes. Countless people were shocked. Did she lose? No, it was an ice clone. In another place Bing Ling's figure appeared. Her face was a little pale. Although she used the ice clone to dodge the fatal blow, but it still hurt her a little. Should she continue? The ice on Lin Xian's body melted. He stood there, shining in all directions like the sun war god. There's no need, Bing Ling said coldly. She felt that the opponent was very strong. If she didn't pay a price, she wouldn't be able to defeat him. Moreover, the main target now wasn't Lin Xian but Gu Feng. The others were also silent. Lin Xian had shown his strong physique and terrifying swordsmanship 3 times. For a moment, no one dared to come forward. Everyone ignore this kid. Our target is the Medicine King. Bing Ling raised her head and looked at Gu Feng in the distance. Over there it was frozen. The others were also moving. The battle broke out again. The great conqueror led the people of the Earth sect to fight back crazily. At the same time he shouted, Gu Feng go first. Gu Feng gritted his teeth and formed a space tunnel. His body disappeared. However, there were many experts here. He was chased all the way and fought with them. It had to be said that Gu Feng was also very strong. Although he had just started cultivating the void scripture, he could already display great power. The Great Void Shift and Void Conversion were 2 absolute arts that allowed him to escape every time he was in danger. He was surrounded by more than 10 top experts, but he still let them escape in the end. However, more and more people came later. In the end, dozens of people came. Gu Feng's scalp was numb. No matter how strong he was no match for these dozens of experts. In the end he exiled himself. At the same time, a mirror appeared on his body. He shattered the world and escaped. Replica Void Mirror. Countless people gnashed their teeth. This was a replica of an extreme Dao weapon, and its might was not any weaker than the Great Sage's weapon. Damn it, did he let him escape? They hurried to look for him. Soon, countless people were on the move. Within the vast snowy mountains a figure appeared. He then spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Detestable. Gu Feng clenched his teeth. Fortunately, he had a treasure to protect him at the last moment. Otherwise he would have been in real danger. But soon he began to laugh proudly. So what if there were dozens of top-notch experts? Didn't he still manage to escape? At this moment, a voice behind him laughed. It seems that you are very happy. Who was it? Gu Feng's hair stood on end. He had already escaped, so how could there still be someone who could catch up to him? He turned around and attacked with a finger in the air. A terrifying sword light came from behind, shattering the void around him. It's you? Gu Feng gritted his teeth. He did not expect it to be Lin Xian again. Beside him was a woman in white. It seemed like he was an expert from the Dao sect. Brat, how did you find this place? Gu Feng was really shocked. It would have been very easy to find him. Did he think that he could hide from everything with his void divine ability? It was useless. Gu Feng gritted his teeth and took out a replica of the void mirror. If I want to leave, you can't stop me. Lin Xian said, I don't want to stop you. I'm just here to take back something. Do you want the Medicine King? Don't think about it. You're dreaming. Lin Xian shook his head. Are you sure that you got the Medicine King? After saying that, Lin Xian waved his hand, and a spirit medicine appeared in his hand. It was surrounded by the great Dao. It was abnormally terrifying. How was that possible? Gu Feng's pupils constricted. That was the Medicine King. Then what did he get? He took out the Medicine King that he had obtained. However, in the next moment, the Medicine King in his hand turned into a little white monkey that made a face at him. Its body flickered and disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already beside Lin Xian. Damn it, it was actually a damn monkey. How was that possible? He knew Little White. It was the monkey by Lin Xian's side. But how could it turn into the Medicine King? How could it fool him? Damn it! Gu Feng roared angrily. He wanted to attack. However, Lin Xian retreated with Little White, and Bai Susu had already flown into the distance. Lin Xian used all his strength and roared, Gu Feng, don't even think about escaping. As he said that, he shot out a bolt of lightning that turned into a lightning dragon that tore through the sky. Quick, don't let them escape. Those people in the distance quickly charged over. Seeing that scene, Lin Xian smiled. He came to Bai Susu's side and summoned the dimensional beast. The two of them gradually disappeared. Damn it, where do you think you're going? Gu Feng shot out a spatial canyon that enveloped Lin Xian and Bai Susu. However, he was still a step too late. The two of them disappeared. In the distance, a few figures came over. It's really Gu Feng. Come quickly. I can't let him escape this time. Gu Feng's expression was ugly. He turned around and disappeared. What followed next was a huge pursuit. Finally, Gu Feng was surrounded by more than 10 people again. This time, Bing Ling personally took out a frost enchantment barrier. This barrier was even more terrifying than the one that sealed Lin Xian in ice. Bing Ling took out the scepter of ice. This was a great sage artifact formed from the bone of an ice phoenix. It was extremely powerful. Damn it, the king of medicine isn't with me. I've been deceived. It's useless for you to look for me. Gu Feng snorted. Are you kidding me? You've been deceived? Then who has the king of medicine? The ice phoenix asked. Lin Xian had the king of medicine. Who is Lin Xian? The others frowned. They had never heard of him. Lin Xian had defeated everyone in the Path sect before, but that was only the Path sect. People like Bing Ling and the Overlord had already spread their aura to other sects and families. Lin Xian had not reached that stage yet, so it was normal that these people had not heard of him. It was the flaming figure from before. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. He was the mastermind. It's him. Countless people were shocked. They thought of the flaming figure. The other party was indeed very strong. Was he also a new genius? It was really too shocking. Bing Ling snorted coldly. Stop lying. If he was the mastermind, why didn't you say so then? Do you think we're easy to fool now? Attack. After a great battle, Gu Feng was so angry that he vomited blood. He was telling the truth, but he could not explain. Because everyone saw that he had taken the king of medicine. But the king of medicine was fake, but he could not produce any evidence. Small Knife God charged over and slashed out. He said, if you want us to believe you, sure, take out your storage room. We want to search your soul. Impossible. Gu Feng roared. There were many treasures in there and even his family's secrets. How could he allow others to search? If that's the case, then you're lying. Attack. Those people attacked again. Chapter 48:20. Gu Feng was in a miserable state. He was injured not long after. Especially Bing Ling and Dagger God. Those two were too terrifying. Damn it. Just you wait. I'll remember this grudge. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. In the next moment his bloodline burst out. The void mirror replica above his head shone brightly, creating a void passage. Not good. Don't let him escape. Dagger God roared. Bing Ling also used the icebound scepter to the extreme. However, it was useless. Gu Feng's void scripture that he had used to ignite his bloodline had disappeared. Damn it. Everyone shattered the void for millions of miles, but they still couldn't find the other party's figure. He escaped. Bing Ling gritted her teeth. Dagger God also frowned. As expected of someone from the monarch race. That was a spatial ability. It was too terrifying. It was easy to injure him but difficult to kill him. On the other side, Lin Xian and Bai Susu appeared on a plane. Their lips curled up. Lin Xian set up a formation that covered the sky. Then he took out the Medicine King and split it in half. He gave the upper half to Bai Susu. As for the lower half, he kept it. What should he do next? Bai Susu asked. She was very happy after obtaining the Medicine King. She felt that Lin Xian was very reliable. She suggested that they should make another move and continue searching. Lin Xian shook his head. No, the mission is over. I plan to go back. Although there were many spirit veins on the medicine planet, Lin Xian didn't dare to take them. If he took them again, the peerless experts on the medicine planet would make a move. At that time, there might even be sacred masters. It would be very difficult. Therefore, the most important thing was to obtain the world core. Only then could he completely control a world. The power of the entire world would be under his control. He had a world core. It was the Rain Clan's Pisces star. However, it was too far away from the buried Emperor star. Lin Xian couldn't go back now. When he returned to the true spirit world to save Xiajuyo, he would go to Pisces star. But now he had to find a new world. All right. Bai Susu nodded as well. We tricked Gu Feng, that guy. That fellow definitely won't let this matter rest. We better not be surrounded by the Earth sex people. The two of them prepared to leave. However, a day later they were stopped by someone. A few silhouettes walked out from afar. They were brimming with killing intent. One of the elder's eyes emitted an extremely terrifying radiance as he stared at Lin Xian. I can feel the blood of the Blue Clan's disciples on you. You've killed people from the Blue race. There was an ancient altar in the old man's hand. It was extremely terrifying. There was a broken jade tablet on it. Clearly, the other party had used a secret technique to look at him. What's going on? Bai Susu frowned. She had no idea what had happened to Lin Xian. Lin Xian said that there were a few people who didn't know what was good for them and I killed them. They should be here for revenge. Do you need me to do it? Bai Susu asked. Lin Xian said, no need. I don't care about these people. How dare you underestimate us? The leading elder waved his hand and 4 blue race experts charged over. They turned into ice dragons and covered the sky. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm, and the Taiji diagram appeared in his hand. The Taiji diagram flew over and turned into a ray of light, splitting the bodies of the two. At the same time, Lin Xian used the skywalk step and charged in front of the other two. He used the man ruler seal and the great rock seal to turn them into blood mist. In the blink of an eye, the 4 of them were dead. Damn it. The elder on the other side was enraged for a moment. Did the 4 people he brought die just like that? They were all peak Grand Sage Kings. They had hopes of becoming a great sage in the future. Now that they were dead, his heart was bleeding. You're courting death. He personally charged over. Be careful. This is a veteran great sage. Behind him, Bai Susu's eyelids twitched. She felt a shocking sense of danger. Lin Xian also frowned. The other party was indeed very strong. He was a veteran great sage. The elder charged over with a blue divine sword in his hand. He pointed it at the void and endless cold light flew out from the sword. The sword pierced the world. With a single strike, the entire plane was completely sealed. It even spread further into the distance. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He did not dodge. Instead he charged over. He used the 9 suns divine fire to the extreme. It turned into 9 suns that shone brightly around him. The ice around him melted. Then he slapped the blue divine sword with his palm. With a clang, the divine sword shook. The elder's palm went numb, and the sword almost flew out of his hand. His pupils constricted. What a terrifying physique and strength. He did not expect the person in front of him to be so terrifying. No wonder he could kill so many people from the blue race. Now he was sure that the fallen great sage of the blue race was Lan Mingtian. He was an expert on the Saint Origin ranking. He had the chance to become a great sage or sacred lord in the future. However, he had fallen. Kill. He roared crazily. The kid in front of him was too terrifying. Since they were enemies, there was no need to keep him alive. Thinking of this, the elder roared angrily. The coldness in his body exploded. The law of ice wrapped around the divine sword, and it kept shaking as it pierced through the sky. Lin Xian used the Nine Suns' divine body to fight back. Both sides fought fiercely. He felt a great threat. The elder was indeed a veteran expert. His strength was even more terrifying than the overlord's. The ice was even scarier than the icicles. Let me show you what a real sword technique is. Lin Xian was furious. The Nine Suns' divine fire gathered and formed a flaming divine sword. He slashed out with the sword like a fire dragon. Clang. The ice sword and the fire sword collided. The entire sky was shrouded in two different forces. A soul sword. The sword in the elder's hand burst out with a dazzling light. Obviously, it was not an ordinary weapon. It was a great sage artifact. Kid, I admit that you are very strong. You can fight above your level. You have the strength of a great sage. However, your foundation is too weak. Let me tell you what kind of strength a true great sage should possess. He slashed out with his sword and froze the divine fire in the sky. Then the sword swept out, turning into sword shadows that filled the sky. Lin Xian kept retreating. Not good. Bai Susu became nervous. The Great Sage Artifact and the Great Sage Artifact were too terrifying. She wanted to go forward and ask for resources, but Lin Xian said that there was no need. He would do it himself. Lin Xian's face was cold. The elder opposite him laughed. Do it yourself? Kid, even with your companion, the two of you are no match for me. What do you have to fight me? Do you know the power of a Great Sage Artifact? As he spoke, he slashed out again. The flames on Lin Xian's body almost dimmed. Was the Great Sage Artifact very powerful? Lin Xian waved his hand, and the Great Destruction Spear flew out. He grabbed it and slashed down like a divine sword. With a boom, the frost in the sky shattered. Boundless demonic energy swept across the land. Chapter 48:21. You actually have such a trump card? The elder on the other side was shocked and his face turned cold. Kill. He roared and a terrifying sword chi swept across the area. He would not give Lin Xian another chance. The biting cold sword chi rushed towards Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian was even more terrifying. Like a demon, he shattered all the sword chi. He charged over and beat the elder until he was forced to retreat. Behind him, Bai Susu was shocked to see this. It seemed that Lin Xian had not used his full strength previously. This guy was too terrifying. He always shocked him. Lin Xian looked ahead and said loudly, "You're just SOSO. It seems that you won't be my match even if you live a few thousand years. Show me what other trump cards you have. Otherwise, I'll send you to hell." On the other side, the elder's face turned ugly. He was a great sage of the older generation and had a great sage weapon. Even so, he was not Lin Xian's match? He did not believe that there was such a powerful person in the younger generation. He had to get rid of this peerless enemy. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted from his body. Then the azure ice divine sword in his hand bloomed. The terrifying radiance suddenly became 1,000 meters long and slashed down like a heavenly sword, sealing the sky and earth. Not good. Behind him, Bai Susu's face changed. She did not expect this elder to use such a terrifying power. It seemed that the older generation was indeed the older generation. He could not be underestimated. Die. The elder on the other side laughed sinisterly. His face turned pale instantly. It was obvious that this sword had used up all his strength. However, the power of this sword was extremely terrifying. Even a great sage of the same level would die without a doubt. Lin Xian's face darkened too. It seemed that the older generation was indeed powerful. It would be difficult for the younger generation to block such a killing move. However, it was a pity that the other party had met him. He waved his hand and the black heaven devouring jar appeared. Then it turned into a huge vortex and swallowed the sky and earth. A black hole appeared in front of him as if it was going to swallow everything. It's useless. You can't block it at all. That elder laughed coldly. His sword descended in a frenzy, capable of sealing everything. This elder was truly overjoyed. He knew that Lin Xian was a top-notch genius. His talent, strength, and trump cards were all very strong. If Lin Xian grew up, he would be a huge threat to their family. However, it would be great if he died here. He had gotten rid of a danger for his family. Moreover, he was also interested in the great sage artifact in the other party's hands. Thinking about it, the other party must have other treasures. If that was the case, Yi Fuqian's harvest would be bountiful. It could be said that he had killed many birds with one stone. As for what that black vortex was, he didn't care. How could the other party contend against him? However, when the sword landed on the black vortex, he was stunned. He realized that the effect he had imagined did not happen. The black vortex seemed to be able to swallow everything. What was that? He really couldn't believe it. Bai Susu also widened her eyes in shock. She had already intended to tell Lin Xian to run away, but before she could even utter a word, Lin Xian's voice suddenly sounded. Then a strange scene occurred. The peerless, sure-kill sword had been swallowed. I told you you're just SOSO. Lin Xian's expression was cold as he walked forward. The heaven-devouring jar released a terrifying aura. Damn it. The elder opposite him turned around and left. That sure-kill attack had used up most of his strength. He was no match for Lin Xian at all. He had to hurry back to inform his family that such a peerless enemy had appeared. You want to run? Do you think you can? Lin Xian waved his hand, and the spear of destruction released a terrifying demonic sword chi that directly pierced through the elder's body. Elder Zhang screamed in agony as his blood dyed the sky. Damn it. He ignored his injuries and used all his strength to escape. At the same time, 16 pills flew out of his storage ring and were swallowed by him in one gulp. However, that was not enough. His eyes were bloodshot because he realized that the second sword had been slashed out. The sword transformed into a black dragon that grabbed down from the sky. His back was badly mutilated. Damn brat, I'll remember you. I'll never let you go. The elder roared crazily. Buzz. Just as he finished speaking, he spat out a large mouthful of blood and almost fell from the sky. Damn it, my soul. He was terrified. In that instant, an extremely terrifying soul power surged into his mind. It almost tore his soul apart. Although he didn't die, he was seriously injured. Lin Xian used the skywalk step and quickly chased after him. Old thing, aren't you very arrogant? You still want to use a sure kill attack to kill me. Have you ever thought about the outcome after using a sure kill attack? Elder Zhang's face was ugly. Indeed, if he couldn't kill the enemy with a sure kill attack, his outcome would be very miserable. For example, he could only be beaten up. However, he was the great sage after all, and a veteran great sage at that. He used the Ice Frost Divine Sword to block in front of him, protecting his vitals. As for the other injuries, he endured them. He swore that he would definitely take revenge. However, he underestimated Lin Xian. The heaven-swallowing jar flew up and directly froze the Ice Frost Divine Sword. Then Lin Xian attacked forcefully. Rock Seal. The golden palm condensed into the shape of a giant pung. It carried a sky full of divine flames as it charged over and enveloped the elder. There were even more cracks on the elder's body. He was charred black and the smell of barbecued meat wafted out. He was about to be roasted. Damn it. He gritted his teeth and spat out blood, but he didn't dare to fight back. Great desolate sky-splitting hand. Lin Xian opened and closed his hands, and a large crack tore out, turning the elder's legs into a bloody mist. Ah, damn ant, I won't let you off. Just as he finished speaking, the primordial demon mountain descended from the sky. This attack shattered his head, and there was no place on his body that was intact. He was really crazy. He wanted to sweep through thousands of years. When did he get beaten up like this? And by a young man. It was over. Lin Xian's expression was cold, and the power in his body erupted again. The great spear of destruction flew out with an extremely terrifying aura of death. No. The elder was finally terrified. He felt that his life was in danger. He tried his best to dodge, but this attack still tore his body into pieces. Fellow Taoist of the medicine sect, please save my life. The Blue Clan will be eternally grateful. The elder's soul roared crazily. Lin Xian snorted and attacked again. This attack was definitely enough to kill the elder. However, at this moment, a cold shout came from the sky. Such a vicious attack at such a young age. A large hand appeared out of thin air and directly shattered the black dragon sword chi. Lin Xian also felt as if he was struck by lightning. His pupils constricted, and he used the skywalk step to retreat instantly. The place where he was originally standing was shattered. Who is so terrifying? Lin Xian was shocked. It was an attack that completely exceeded the power of an ordinary great sage. It was definitely not something that an early-stage great sage could do. It was an even more terrifying existence. Bai Susu, who was behind him, was also stunned. Did someone in the mid-stage great sage make a move? This was too terrifying. Ordinary geniuses could fight those of a higher level, but they could only rely on the early-stage great sage. However, it was too difficult to fight against someone in the mid-stage Great Sage. It was basically impossible. Chapter 48-22. The flaming hand circled in the sky. At the same time, a flaming human face appeared and stared at Lin Xian. He was like a god looking down on the ants of the world. Lin Xian looked like he was facing a great enemy. The elder cheered wildly. He said, "Fellow cultivator, help me kill that kid. The Blue Clan is willing to give you a world." The great sage's eyes flashed, then he smiled. "Don't worry, the medicine sect has always cooperated with the Blue Clan. Helping you is not a problem." A strange flame formed in his eyes as he stared at Lin Xian. The young man below was a genius, but so what? He was much stronger than the elder of the Blue Clan. He was a realm higher than him. No matter how talented the young man was, he was no match for him. Moreover, the fact that the young man could defeat the great sage of the Blue Clan meant that he had many trump cards. He was interested in the young man's weapon and the strange flame on his body. It would be very helpful to him. The great sage thought of many things in an instant. Killing Lin Xian was very beneficial to him. He could also earn the gratitude of the Blue Clan. Why not? "Young man, you're too vicious. Let me suppress you." The flaming hand in the sky shone brightly. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He snorted. "Old thing, do you have the right to lecture me? Earlier, he relied on his lifespan of thousands of years, and his great sage cultivation base to unleash a deadly attack on me. Wasn't that vicious? You rely on the fact that your cultivation base is much higher than mine to attack a young junior like me. Aren't you vicious? What right do you have to lecture me?" What a sharp-tongued kid. However, it was useless to say anything. In the face of absolute power, everything was futile. The giant palm in the sky fell. "Lin Xian, run!" Bai Susu shouted angrily. She formed 3 avatars. They attacked together to unleash a peerless attack. However, they could not block it. Lin Xian snorted. A murderous intent appeared in his eyes. So what if the young man was a mid-stage great sage? It was impossible to kill him. He activated the sky-devouring jar with all his might, forming a terrifying vortex to block the attack. At the same time, he summoned Whitey and channeled the power of the great dragon sword spirit into Whitey's body. "Go ahead." With the support of the dragon sword spirit, Whitey flew off into the distance and came before the elder of the blue race. The broken body of the elder of the blue tribe was slowly recovering. When he saw that it was a little monkey, he laughed coldly. "An ant dares to fight against me?" An extremely terrifying soul-killing intent burst out from his eyes. He turned into a soul sword and charged toward Whitey. The dragon-shaped sword energy on Whitey's body destroyed everything. At the same time, he took out a purple gourd. The power of the great dragon sword spirit that Lin Xian had given him had all entered the purple gourd. "Oh baby, please turn around." Whitey's voice resounded in the air as a purple flying sword flew out of the gourd. With the power of the great dragon sword spirit, it seemed to have transformed into a purple dragon that instantly pierced through everything. Heaven and earth froze at this moment. The soul of the elder of the Blue Clan stopped in midair and gradually extinguished. This was impossible. Even until his death, he could not believe that he would be killed by a monkey. "Damn it, how dare you!" The great sage of flames roared. Another flaming palm scratched Whitey. Whitey retreated quickly. "Where are you going?" He stared at the purple gourd with bloodshot eyes. To be able to destroy the soul of the great sage with a single move, this gourd was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. It might even be the legendary item. He had to get his hands on it. Whitey returned to Lin Xian's side and slapped at Lin Xian with its 2 palms. The boundless vortex continued to shatter. Although the heaven-devouring jar was half an extreme weapon, it was dependent on the strength of the user. The strength of the old man in front of him was too terrifying. Even the heaven-devouring jar could only protect itself. Lin Xian retreated with a pale face. He gritted his teeth and said, "Old man, tell me your name. I'll kill you one day." "You." The old man in the sky sneered and gradually condensed into a figure. "Remember, I'm the great sage of flames. Don't tell me the wrong name when you go to hell." After saying that, he grinned and slapped at Lin Xian again. "The medicine sect, the great sage of flames. I'll remember you. One day I'll send you to the 18th level of hell." After saying that, a void beast appeared beside Lin Xian and formed a space tunnel. In an instant he disappeared. The flaming palm slammed down, shattering heaven and earth. However, he was already nowhere to be seen. "Space transportation? You can't escape." The great sage of flames roared angrily. Boundless laws of fire gathered and charged into the distance. Blazing red lotus. The laws of fire in the sky gathered and formed countless flaming lotuses. They bloomed between heaven and earth. The void shattered, and even the spatial passageway that Lin Xian had created cracked. One could only imagine how terrifying the other party was. What should I do? Bai Susu, who was beside him, looked terrible. Lin Xian said, "Protect me." He used all his strength to summon the great dragon sword soul and slashed at the 9 heavens. The blazing red lotus in the sky shattered like a mirror and scattered on the ground. How is that possible? The great sage of flames was stunned. Did the other party still have a trump card to contend with him? When he wanted to chase after him, he realized that the other party had already disappeared. Detestable brat, I won't let you escape from Medicine Planet. He was prepared to mobilize the power of the medicine sect to search for him and even seal the entire stellar realm. But in the starry sky, a few figures appeared. It was Lin Xian and the others. Bai Susu looked at the stars in the sky in surprise. Did he leave? She couldn't believe it. To be honest, she had already prepared for the worst. Even if she was captured, she would risk her life to protect Lin Xian. Because her parents' identities were not ordinary, she thought that the other party would definitely give her face. However, before she could do anything, Lin Xian had already left. She was surprised. What was that attack just now? Could it block the blazing red lotus that filled the sky? On the other side, his face was pale. He took out a 10,000-year-old spirit herb and swallowed it. He said, "Let's go." They entered the black earth and flew quickly. Bai Susu's heart ached. That's a 10,000-year-old spirit herb. How could you just eat it like that? Lin Xian said, "So what? It's a dead elder of the blue tribe anyway. It's a waste not to eat it." When Little White killed the elder's soul, it also brought the elder's storage ring. It was a pity that the great sage weapon had a spirit and flew away. Otherwise, they could have gotten another great sage weapon. Xiaobai nodded too. She took out more spiritual fruits from the elder's storage ring and started eating them. It was very happy. Bai Susu's heart ached even more. That little monkey was eating too extravagantly. Even she didn't have such treatment. But Little White was too cute. She looked at Little White and smiled. "Little guy, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You've done a great job this time." Little White's eyes narrowed into crescents. It stretched out its little paw. "I'm good. Give me some spirit fruits." Bai Susu was so angry that she found it funny. "All right, I'll give it all to you." They heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 48-23. Inside the spirit boat. Gu Feng's face was cold and there was blood on his body. He gritted his teeth and said, "The king of medicine I got is fake. The real one is with Lin Xian. I can swear on my family's reputation." Beside him were the experts of the Earth sect, including the Overlord. Their faces were cold. The Overlord frowned. "You're saying that the flaming figure I fought with is Lin Xian?" "That's right, it's him." Gu Feng gritted his teeth. The others sucked in a breath of cold air. According to Gu Feng, Lin Xian and Gu Feng were of the same age. He was younger than the Overlord and the others. Such a person was too heaven-defying. Has the 9-yang divine body become so terrifying? Gu Feng gritted his teeth. Not only did he have the 9-yang divine body, but he also had many fortuitous encounters. He was also the descendant of the great dragon with unparalleled combat power. The legendary great dragon sword? The people of the Earth sect gasped. Even the Overlord's eyes shone with a cold light. No wonder. No wonder he was suppressed in the competition. Once you become the descendant of the great dragon, every move you make has unparalleled combat power. Interesting. I'll remember this, Lin Xian. But so what if he's the descendant of the great dragon and the descendant of the 9-yang divine body? The Overlord's prodigy can sweep through everything. He has many trump cards, but after my cultivation grows stronger, if I continue to pull apart my cultivation, it won't be a problem to suppress him. Now these prodigies, other than competing in talent and trump cards, they are also competing in cultivation speed. Once you break through a realm, you will be above the other prodigies. It's even possible to completely trample the others under your feet. Alright, you're so badly injured this time. You'd better recover quickly. The Overlord looked at Gu Feng with flickering eyes. Although they were from the same sect, he was also secretly wary of Gu Feng. After all, he was from the Earth sect and cultivated the Emperor's scripture. Once he had the chance to grow, he might surpass him. Gu Feng swallowed a pill while preparing to cultivate in seclusion. But at this moment, he suddenly looked at the starry sky outside. What's wrong? The Overlord was puzzled. Gu Feng said that there's a spirit boat in front. Let's go take a look. With a wave of the Overlord's hand, the spirit boat changed its direction and sped up. When they got closer, Gu Feng suddenly stood up and said, "That spirit boat belonged to Lin Xian. They're also on their way back. Catch them quickly." Everyone was in an uproar. The tyrant looked forward and a cold radiance burst out from his eyes. "Are you sure?" Gu Feng nodded. He couldn't be wrong. He had met Lin Xian more than once or twice, so he was very familiar with Lin Xian's trump cards and the weapons he often used. That spirit boat belonged to the other party. Interesting, we can make our move now. The Overlord's eyes lit up and the other's eyes turned red as well. In this vast universe, if he were to kill the other party and steal the other party's treasures, the people of the Dao sect would probably not know about it. These people moved out quickly. In the spirit vessel ahead, Lin Xian frowned. He abruptly looked behind him. Someone was catching up. Run. He sped up the Black Earth. Bai Susu wondered if they were from the medicine sect. Or were they from the Earth sect? He also looked carefully and said that it was the Overlord's spirit vessel. They were from the Earth sect. The two parties, one in front and one behind, started a chase in the universe. Behind them, Gu Feng gritted his teeth. "Oh no, we were discovered." The Overlord said, "So what if we were discovered?" The spirit vessel emitted a terrifying radiance, turning into a divine sword and moving forward. The array formations on the Black Earth flickered as it continuously shuttled through space. The two of them chased one after the other. Behind them, Gu Feng gritted his teeth and took out a few 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs and ate them. He said, "Everyone, I'm going to use my spatial mystique to bring all of you through space. However, my power is limited. When we get closer, I'll need all of you to attack." The Overlord nodded. "Let's move out then." The spatial aura on Gu Feng's body became more and more terrifying. He directly shattered the void, forming a spatial tunnel, and charged forward. In an instant he arrived near the Black Earth. The Overlord and the others reached out and grabbed. The Black Earth shook, and Bai Susu's expression changed drastically. She waved her hand and a small umbrella flew out from between her eyebrows. The power of wind and thunder surrounded it. The wind and thunder umbrella flew out of the Black Earth and continued to expand, covering a part of the world to block the palms of the Overlord and the others. Lin Xian was surprised. This wind and thunder umbrella was not ordinary. It was also a great sage artifact. It seemed that Bai Susu's identity was more terrifying than he had imagined. However, at this moment, other than the Overlord, there were also many experts from the Earth sect. Even if Bai Susu used the great sage artifact, she would not be able to withstand it. Moreover, those people would probably use the great sage artifact soon. Gu Feng and the Overlord definitely had it. As expected, the void mirror flew out and fought against the wind and thunder umbrella. The wind and thunder umbrella seemed to be frozen. The power of wind and thunder on it directly shattered the void, and the two fought against each other. On the Overlord's side, a huge cauldron appeared. It seemed to have turned into a sky and pressed down. It was also a great sage artifact. It seemed that it wanted to completely suppress the Black Earth. At the critical moment, Lin Xian took out the heaven-devouring jar and created an endless black vortex to block the heaven transformation cauldron. Moreover, the heaven-devouring jar became more and more terrifying. The black vortex completely turned into a black hole. Damn it, what is this thing? It actually blocked my heaven transformation cauldron. The Overlord was surprised. Gu Feng, who was beside him, also gritted his teeth. He wanted to use a divine ability, but he spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it. Previously he was besieged by so many experts and was seriously injured. However, the black hole in front of him was boundlessly terrifying. It cut off the world. Finally, the Black Earth disappeared. Behind, the Overlord and the others gritted their teeth and continued to search. Great. Bai Susu heaved a sigh of relief. Then she took out the array formation. Our void gate is nearby. Entering the void gate and teleporting back to Holy Abyss City should be much easier. Next, they used the array formation to communicate with the coordinates in the universe. A spatial gate opened. The Black Earth began to teleport. Then it disappeared. Not long after, the Overlord and the others also opened the spatial gate and disappeared. When the two spirit ships appeared, they had already arrived at Holy Abyss City and were still chasing. Bai Susu gritted her teeth. Damn it, these guys are too arrogant. They're already back and they still won't give up? But fortunately, Lin Xian and she both had trump cards, so the other party couldn't do anything. When they arrived at the True Path sect, Bai Susu sneered. Then she flew out and shouted coldly. People of the Earth sect, you're too arrogant. Do you want to attack us? Do you really think the True Path sect is just a decoration? Her voice traveled into the True Path sect. The people of the True Path sect were shocked. Someone dares to attack the people of the True Path sect. And it's the people of the Earth sect. What's the meaning of this? Are they trying to overturn the world? Chapter 48-24. It's Senior Sister Bai. Senior Sister Bai is back. Senior Sister Bai is being hunted down by the Earth sect. Damn it. Those people rushed over and stared at the spirit boat. The Overlord frowned. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. Damn it, I was so close. Can I attack? Who's that woman? He stared at Bai Susu. If there's no other way, I'll kill her. The Overlord shook his head. Don't touch her. If you dare to hurt her in front of the Dao sect, you'll die a horrible death. Her name is Bai Susu. Her parents are great sage. They're elders of the Dao sect and live in the core area. If you kill her, you'll be challenging the Dao sect's authority. The Overlord shook his head. Then he walked out and said, You're lucky this time. You won't be so lucky the next time we meet. Let's go. He turned around and left on the spirit boat. Bai Susu heaved a sigh of relief. With this king herb, her strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. The next time they meet, it's hard to say who will be the unlucky one. She looked at the people behind her and said, Thank you, senior brothers and junior brothers, for your help. Now that the danger is over, everyone can go back. With that, she entered the spirit boat with a smile. Let's go, kid. Lin Xian controlled the spirit boat and flew in. Everyone thought that it was Bai Susu's spirit boat. They didn't know that the person inside was Lin Xian. Otherwise, it would cause another uproar. The people from the Dragon Palace might even come and attack. When they arrived at the spiritual abode, Bai Susu walked out and said, Alright, I have to go back and cultivate. Let's work together next time. Susu waved her hand and was about to leave. But soon she flew back. Alright, I forgot to ask you. I plan to use this king herb with other spirit herbs to make a cauldron of pills. Of course, I won't do it myself. I'll let my parents do it together. They're great sage. Do you need it? If you need it, I'll take your share with you. When the time comes, I'll refine the pill and send it to you. As for the fee, there's no need. This time, it's all thanks to you that I was able to obtain half of the king herb. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect her parents to be the great sage. Moreover, it seemed that they were most likely from the Dao sect. This little girl's identity was not ordinary. He smiled and said, There's no need. I don't want to use this king of medicine to refine pills for the time being. However, if I need it, I won't be polite. Also, are you interested in joining the Divine Palace? If Lin Xian's guess was right, the other party's parents could very well be elders. If they were to add the other party into their lineup, they would definitely be able to deal with the other party. In that case, it was equivalent to them gaining an elder-level backer. This was extremely beneficial for the three of them to develop in the Dao sect. Bai Susu smiled and said, Are you inviting me? But I have to think about it. I'll answer you next time we meet. She waved and left. Lin Xian kept the black earth and entered the mansion below. After entering, Yu Ren walked out and exclaimed, Big brother Lin, you're back. Lin Xian nodded. Are there still any empty cultivation rooms? Give me one. Soon he entered the cultivation room and sat down cross-legged. First he recovered his strength to its peak. Then he entered the mysterious world in his body. At this moment there were 4 spirit veins in the mysterious world. The small valley formed by them was also changing. The 4 supreme-grade spirit veins had become very small, turning into small hills, dim and lifeless. The 4 spirit beasts were roaring crazily. Damn it. When they saw Lin Xian walking over, they could not wait to kill him and tear him to pieces. However, they did not have the strength to do so now. Lin Xian stood on the hill and looked at the soil in the valley. His lips curled into a smile. He realized that the soil was starting to glow. Not bad. Although the area was small, if he could really restore the soil, it would be very useful. Lin Xian had kept half of the king of herbs and was going to plant it here. Damn brat, let us out if you have the guts. Let's fight one-on-one. The spirit tiger roared. Lin Xian looked at them and said, Looks like you won't die anytime soon. Don't worry. Although I'm borrowing your strength now, once this world completely recovers, you'll be the ones to benefit. I promise that after you follow me, I can let you absorb the power of this world and turn you into divine beasts. Brat, who are you trying to fool? The spirit dragon roared. This world was so desolate. It could not be restored even in 10,000 years. The spirit turtle snorted. Even if the 4 of us were sucked dry, we could only restore a small piece of land. There are countless worlds in this world. How many spirit veins do you plan to use? How many worlds do you want to conquer with your strength? It should be known that even on the medicine star, there were not many supreme-grade spirit veins like theirs. After all, they had existed for countless years and had formed souls. It was definitely rare. If not for this brat in front of them, they would not have been suppressed. Lin Xian's eyes shone. How would I know if I don't try? He entered the small valley. After checking the situation of the ground under his feet, he nodded. It had indeed recovered a lot. At least it would not absorb the power of the spirit herbs anymore. He took out half of the Herb King and planted it in the small valley. Because half of the Herb King was lost, it was originally dim. However, after planting it, it shone brightly and the Tao on it lit up. This made Lin Xian very satisfied. The spirit tiger was called Roar. Damn brat, what do you take us for? Flower pots. Do you want us to cultivate spirit herbs for you? Damn it. The spirit sparrow gritted its teeth. It wanted to eat the Herb King. Lin Xian did not care. He had set up a formation around the Herb King. Once it was attacked, he would know immediately. He said, "The four of you have worked hard. If you cooperate with me, I'll restore it for you one day. Otherwise, don't blame me for destroying your souls." The four spirit beasts stopped talking and fell silent. With his means, it would be easy for him to destroy them now. After all, they had no power. Seeing that the four of them had fallen silent, Lin Xian smiled. "Stay here. Alright, I'll give your valley a name. It's the Four Spirit Mountain." Lin Xian left the valley and began to cultivate outside. There was 100 times more pressure here. Whether it was training his physique or cultivating the heavenly walk step, it was very effective. Just like that, Lin Xian began to cultivate again. When he was resting, he took out many storage rings and began to organize his spoils of war. This time he had gained a lot from his trip to Medicine Star. In addition to the Herb King, Lin Xian also obtained a lot of spirit herbs. There were many 10,000-year-old spirit herbs. In addition, he also obtained the storage rings of some experts that he had killed, including the Great Sage. Chapter 48-25. The Blue Clan. The atmosphere was unusually cold. They had suffered heavy losses on this trip to the Medicine Star. Not only had many young geniuses died, but even a few great sage had died. One of them was Lan Mingtian, an expert on the honor roll. The people of the Blue Clan were mad with anger. Who was the culprit? They weren't doing well in Holy Abyss City either. The death of Lan Zilu from the True Path sect also made them look gloomy. Lan Jiu returned to her clan and asked them to send experts to assassinate Lin Xian. She had to avenge her brother. However, the Blue Clan members frowned. "That kid is from the True Path sect. We can't go there. Unless you lure him out, then we can make a move." "I understand." Lan Jiu nodded. She could only do it outside the True Path sect. She prepared to leave. As she was leaving, she saw Bing Ling return. Bing Ling looked down at Lan Jiu and said coldly, "I heard that your useless brother died." "What a joke. You're a disgrace to the clan." "What did you say?" Lan Jiu roared, her eyes red. Bing Ling glanced at her and said coldly, "I heard that the one who did it was a newcomer like you. Don't you think that you and your sister's talents are a little too lacking?" "Damn it." Lan Jiu gritted her teeth. She stared at Bing Ling and said, "I'll prove it to you. One day I'll surpass you. I'll be the number one in the clan." "What a joke. Ignorant ant." Bing Ling shook her head and left, ignoring her. Compared to her, they were too far apart. If the other party had the ancient body, it might be possible. Lan Jiu's talent was strong, but it wasn't as good as hers. So Bing Ling didn't care. Lan Jiu, on the other hand, left with a dejected expression. She couldn't compare to Bing Ling in the clan. It seemed that she could only ask for help from the True Path sect. The Dragon Prince. She thought of someone. He had the ancient body and was also the son of the Dragon Sea Lord. He was also one of the leaders of the Dragon Palace. If he could walk to the other party's side, then the resources and power he would obtain would be unimaginable. Lan Jiu gritted her teeth and went to find her father to discuss it. His father was a middle-aged man. At this moment, his expression was gloomy and cold. He said, "Our bloodline will fully support you. This is a world core and I'll give it to you now. You can use the resources inside to find connections in the Dragon Palace. If we can get the Dragon Crown Prince's support, all our efforts will be rewarded." Lan Jiu obtained the realm core and left. She swore that she would definitely kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't know about these things. Even if he did, he wouldn't care. Not to mention Lan Jiu, the entire Dragon Palace was his target. When the time came, he would trample everything under his feet. The blue race was no exception. When he came out of the mysterious world, he realized that it had been almost 2 months. This made him cry out in alarm. Oh no, it was too late. He remembered that he had made an agreement with the Fire Dragon Lady to have her wait in the Sacred Abyss Tower for a month. I wonder if he's still around? Lin Xian hurried to the mission hall and took out 3 10,000-year-old herbs to complete the mission. This way, when the time came to refine the pills, he would get a third of it. Then he hurriedly left the Dao sect and went to the Sacred Abyss Tower. There weren't many people in the Sacred Abyss Tower, but there was a fiery red figure nearby. It was a woman with shocking flames and a terrifying bloodline. The passers-by all looked over. Was this a new challenger? But what was surprising was that this fiery woman never seemed to enter the Sacred Abyss Tower. Every day, she would stand outside the Sacred Abyss Tower for a period of time before leaving. Just like that, it had been more than half a month. No one knew who she was waiting for. This figure was naturally the Fire Dragon Lady. After the Fire Dragon Lady left the Medicine Star, she came with a World Star according to the agreement. However, it had been almost 2 months and she still hadn't seen Lin Xian. This surprised her. Had he forgotten? Impossible. It was such an important matter. There was another possibility, which was that he had fallen in the Medicine Star. Thinking of this possibility, she was even more shocked. She knew how terrifying the other party was. Who could make such a person fall? Could it be that a terrifying veteran great sage had made his move? She didn't know. She decided to wait for another half a month. After half a month, if the other party still didn't appear, she would leave. You're waiting here every day? At least you keep your word. At this moment, a faint voice came from behind her. The Fire Dragon Lady's hair stood on end. This familiar voice belonged to the other party. The other party had come. She turned around and saw a man in a black robe walking over with a smile. It's you? The Fire Dragon Lady was shocked. Lin Xian smiled. You were waiting for me. Why are you so surprised? You didn't think that I had fallen after waiting for so long, right? The Fire Dragon Lady's face turned pale. She felt that her thoughts had been seen through in an instant. She quickly shook her head. How could that be? I was just surprised. Why did you come so late? You don't need to know. Lin Xian asked, Did you bring the thing? The Fire Dragon Lady nodded. She took out a treasure box and handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian opened it and found that it was a world core. He asked, Which world is it from? It shouldn't be too far from the buried Emperor Star, right? The Fire Dragon Lady said, It's not far. If we use the Great Sage's speed, we can reach it in 10 days. Since we don't have much time, come with me. Lin Xian waved his hand and enveloped the Fire Dragon Lady. The two of them soared into the sky and left the buried Emperor Star. They entered the Black Earth ship and started to fly at full speed. The Fire Dragon Lady was very nervous. After all, Lin Xian had easily killed the Great Sage. How could she not be worried when she was with such a person? But luckily, after a few days, she found that Lin Xian's life was very simple. Apart from cultivating, it was cultivating. No wonder he was so strong. He was already so heaven-defying, but he didn't give up on cultivating. Thinking about that, she took a deep breath and sat down cross-legged. She started to cultivate. 10 days later, Lin Xian opened his eyes. He looked at the flame planet outside. His eyes flickered. It should be here. That's right, this was the Dragon Flame planet. The flames on it were very terrifying. There were some precious metal veins, god crystals, spirit veins, and so on. It wasn't suitable for humans or beasts to live in. Are you satisfied? Lin Xian landed. Feeling the terrifying flames around him, his lips curled up. He was very satisfied. If there were martial artists and beasts living here, he wouldn't know what to do. But if there were only resources, it would be great. After circling around this world, Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. He wondered what would happen if he swallowed the power of this world into the mysterious world. Chapter 48-26. Next, Lin Xian let Fire Dragon Girl leave. He stayed in this world alone. Lin Xian felt that he had perfect control of the Dragon Flame world after fusing with the world core. In the next moment, he sat cross-legged on the ground and opened the mysterious sword world. Boom. This time, he wanted to completely fuse the Dragon Flame world into the sword world. The Dragon Flame world shook violently, and cracks appeared in the surrounding space. The sword world was extremely calm, but the sky suddenly darkened. 4 Spirit Valley. The 4 spirit veins were shocked. They raised their heads and exclaimed, What happened? Was the sky falling and the earth splitting? Ah, that's great. We can use this opportunity to leave. They were incomparably happy. However, not long after, they realized that it was not the case. A huge force was still acting on their surroundings. They could not escape at all. The black shadow in the sky shocked them. They saw that it seemed like a world was pressing down from the sky. No way, what was that kid doing? Could it be that he swallowed a world? Boom. The entire process was very slow. In the end, there was no way to continue. Lin Xian was surprised. It seemed that it was impossible for him to swallow a world with his current strength. He took a deep breath and took out the heaven-swallowing jar. He wanted to borrow the power of an extreme weapon. The heaven-swallowing jar could even swallow heaven and earth. Swallowing a world was not a problem. As expected, the heaven-swallowing jar kept growing. Lin Xian controlled it with all his might. This time, the dragon flame world was slowly swallowed up. But even so, it still took nearly a year. For the past year, Lin Xian had been controlling the heaven-swallowing jar to swallow the dragon flame world. The dragon flame world was swallowed and then entered the mysterious world. The entire dragon flame world was incomparably red. It turned into a flaming star that hung above the 9 heavens. The aura that fell down scattered all over the earth. Of course, Lin Xian was only targeting the vicinity of the 4-spirit valley. Therefore, the 4-spirit veins instantly felt a powerful force coming from the sky. Everything became different. Damn, is this a star? He really refined a world into a star. Was this kid crazy? What was he trying to do? Standing on the buried Emperor star and looking up at the stars, those stars were worlds, but they were all based on the universe. Now, this guy had placed all the worlds in a mysterious world. Was this guy trying to create a new universe? Who cares? In any case, we can absorb the power that falls from the flames above. The 4-spirit veins were delighted, but compared to this mysterious world, the amount they absorbed was pitiful. Most of the power was absorbed by the mysterious sword world. In the valley below, the king of medicine had gained power. Suddenly, the great path technique above it shone even brighter. Even the upper half of his body that had been cut off began to regrow. Sure enough, it worked. Lin Xian was very happy after he came in. Next, his goal was to collect the other worlds and turn them into stars. If there was a day where he could completely restore the vitality of this mysterious world, then it would be of great use to him. If this continued, it wouldn't take long for the king of medicine to recover. When the time came, he would swallow the king of medicine and see if he could break through. Lin Xian needed too much power. Even after such a long period of cultivation, he was still unable to break through. Logically speaking, even with the king of medicine, it might not be certain. However, if it was a king of medicine grown in the mysterious world, then it would be different. It had been more than a year. How was the Dao sect? Lin Xian walked out of the sword world and returned to the buried Emperor star. When he arrived at the Dao sect, he discovered that there were more people in the Dao sect. Clearly, the test this time had begun. A few more geniuses had come in. Among them, he discovered 2 familiar faces. Dan Feng, Mortal Star. The 2 of them had indeed come from the Taiching ancient city. Lin Xian was very happy. Not only were the 2 of them powerful, but they were also top-notch alchemists. In the future, they could become the exclusive alchemists of the Divine Union. This way, the strength of the members of the Divine Union would increase even faster. Now, there were more people in the Divine Union. After all, Lin Xian had fought a great battle and even killed a clone of the Dragon Prince. This had shocked countless people. Therefore, some people had joined. However, there were only about 20 people in total. This was much less than expected. After all, the current Dragon Palace was still a huge entity. Anyone who dared to join the Divine Union would be challenging the Dragon Palace. Furthermore, these 20 people had different motives. Some were curious. Some wanted to obtain the support and resources of the Divine Union. There were even some spies who had joined. They were probably spies sent by the Dragon Palace. Indeed, on this day someone had come to cause trouble. He said coldly, "We are the first batch to join the Dragon Palace. No matter what, we should be given a lot of resources. Why don't you give us more?" The person who had spoken was a man with a long spear on his back. His eyes were piercingly cold. He said, "Aren't the 2 leaders very powerful? One of them claimed to be a genius of the dragons, while the other was a heaven-defying powerhouse. The 2 of you have mastered so many mystic abilities. Why don't you give us some?" That was right. The other person had also arrived. He was carrying a huge axe on his back. Clearly, he was a powerhouse with strength. Hand over the mystic abilities of the dragons. If we are powerful, the Divine Union will be powerful too. Damn it. Were these people crazy? What wishful thinking. Nalan Liang clenched his teeth. Hong Yi, Lu Yuan, and the others also had cold looks on their faces. The dark red divine dragon walked out and sneered. You want my mystic abilities? What contributions have you made to the Divine Union? We are also top-notch geniuses. Is this how the Divine Union treats geniuses? The two of them sneered before looking at the other 10 people. I think we should leave. There is no future in the Divine Union. That's right. We might as well join the Dragon Palace. Even the lowest level of the Dragon Palace is better than here. Damn it. Lu Yuan and the others gritted their teeth. The dark red divine dragon also had a cold look on his face. It was obvious that the people from the Dragon Palace were here to cause trouble. I will slap you to death. Do you believe it? The toad jumped out. The two of them sneered. What? Does the Divine Union want to suppress us? It seems like we can't stay in the Divine Union anymore. The dark red divine dragon and the others' expressions changed when they heard this. What should they do? These people were very anxious. If even the first batch of people left, who would come to the Divine Union in the future? At that moment, Lin Xian walked over and looked at the two of them. How dare the two of you call yourselves top-notch geniuses? What a joke. Even if you want to stay in the Divine Union, I don't want you. Scram. What did you say? Do you dare question our strength? The two of them were furious. Chapter 48-27. The surrounding people were also in an uproar as they discussed. If the Divine Union did not value them, what was the point of them being here? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The Divine Union naturally needs geniuses. However, the two of you are just trash. How dare you call us trash? The two of them were furious. Lin Xian snorted coldly. What? Do you want to fight me? The two of them narrowed their eyes. The man with the giant axe on his back said, We all know how strong you are. It's impossible for everyone to be on par with you. The man with the long spear on his back also said, That's right, could it be that you want to use your power to bully others? Lin Xian smiled. What? Are you afraid? Don't worry, the two of you are not worthy of me taking action. Don't you call yourselves geniuses? I don't think you are even ants. I don't need to take action. I can find 2 newcomers who have just joined the Path sect to deal with you. Are you looking down on us? The two of them were furious. Lin Xian waved his hand and sent a message to the people in the mansion. Not long after, 2 figures walked out. It was Dan Feng and Fan Xing. Some of you should know these two. They are newcomers who have just passed the test. Indeed, someone in the crowd nodded. I have heard of these two. They have shown extraordinary strength. They are indeed newcomers. In front, the man with the huge axe said, You want 2 newcomers to fight me? What kind of joke was this? They felt that they had been underestimated. The powerhouse with the long spear said, We will be merciless. Although we won't take their lives, it won't be a problem to make them lie in bed for 8 to 10 years. Are you sure you want to take action? Dan Feng walked out and said, Cut the crap. Let's see who will lie in bed for 8 to 10 years. She waved her hand and charged towards the man with the long spear. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. The man snorted and his spear shot out like a dragon. However, the red phoenix's palm turned into a furnace that suppressed the heavens and the earth and burned everything. It directly suppressed the long spear. The heat from the long spear caused the man's palm to burn and turn into a bloody mist. Damn it, how could this be? This flame? The powerhouse's face turned ugly. The red phoenix palm formed a seal once more and slapped a palm onto the furnace. Clang. The divine furnace opened, and the fire laws danced in the air like a surging volcano, enveloping the world. In front of him, the man roared madly. His entire body was melting. Stop, I admit defeat. Dan Feng snorted coldly and sent him flying with a palm strike. Top genius? How laughable. Her voice shocked countless people. Was this really a prodigy who had just entered? It was too terrifying. Or could it be that the spear-wielding man was too weak? At this moment, Fan Xing walked over and stared at the man with the giant axe. Let's do it. The man with the giant axe had a gloomy expression on his face, but he knew that there was no way for him to retreat when he was being stared at by more than 10 people. He would fight with his honor. Kill. He gripped the axe with both hands and chopped down forcefully. Within the manor, the endless storm split apart. The entire world shook. Inside the divine dwellings, there were countless formations that protected everyone's lives. Otherwise, someone would have been seriously injured by this attack. The axe could split the heavens and earth, and it contained the power of thunder. The expressions of the 2 types of people changed. It had to be said that the other party was really strong. The others also started to worry for Fan Xing. In the face of this attack, Fan Xing's expression was calm. His palms glowed and he kept forming seals. Countless astral flames condensed into a furnace. The sky instantly darkened, and it was as if the stars were flickering. Each of them was like lightning. The laws on them were very terrifying, and they pierced through heaven and earth. Boom boom. A strand of astral fire landed on the giant axe, and it was split apart by the giant axe with a deafening sound. However, there were too many astral flames, and there were tens of millions of souls. In the end, the giant axe was drowned. This giant axe, a terrifying saint artifact, was actually burning and melting at this moment. The burly man was pierced by the astral flames, and more than 10 wounds appeared on his body. He vomited blood and flew backward. Fan Xing retracted his palm, and the astral flames disappeared. He said, "You're just a so-so. I think you're not qualified to enter the divine dwellings." The surrounding people were shocked. The battle was over so quickly? These two people were powerhouses who had joined for several years, and their strength was terrifying. But were they really unable to defeat two newcomers who had just entered? The toad jumped out and laughed loudly. "Did you see that? You two ants, do you think you're qualified to come here? Go back and tell your master that if he dares to send more spies, I'll destroy you." The two of them fled like stray dogs. Lu Yuan and the others laughed loudly. The others were shocked. Spies? Could these two people have been sent by the Dragon Palace? A few of them narrowed their eyes. Had their identities been discovered? Lin Xian stood up and looked at the remaining people. If they wanted to join the Divine Union, they had to at least have the strength and talent of these two newcomers. Furthermore, although the Divine Union did not restrict them, they had to be loyal once they entered. Those who dared to betray the Divine Union would be killed without mercy. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and it was filled with killing intent. Everyone felt as if their souls were about to split apart, and many of them broke out in cold sweat. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden radiance, and it enveloped the dozen people like a magic lamp. He said, "I know there are more spies than these two. There are more among you. I'll give you a chance. If you want to leave now, leave immediately. Those who stay will be members of the Divine Union in the future. Once you enter the Divine Union, you will be brothers forever. You can't betray us." The moment Lin Xian finished speaking, another 3 people left. They were very fast and escaped in an instant. Obviously, the 3 of them were also spies. Lin Xian ignored them and looked at the remaining 9 people. He asked, "Are you guys not leaving?" The 9 of them replied, "No, we are willing to follow you." "Great." Lin Xian nodded and laughed heartily. "The 9 of you are the first batch to join the Divine Union, regardless of your current talent or strength. The Divine Union will do its best to train you. We will let you fight for the top 0 on the stars list in a short time." "Thank you, young master." They were overjoyed. They knew that they had made the right decision this time. Lin Xian looked around again and said loudly, "Although the Divine Union is in urgent need of recruitment, not everyone can join. From now on, the Dragon Hall will be established, and the dark red Divine Dragon will be in charge. The Unparalleled Hall will be established, and the Fu Hongye will be in charge. The Elixir Hall will be established, and the Red Phoenix will be in charge. I will also be the temporary hall master of the Sacred Hall. When each hall recruits, it will be divided into ordinary members and core members. There will be a corresponding promotion system. The core members of each hall will be able to enter the spiritual palace." At the moment, Lin Xian had finally laid out all the plans of the Divine Union. The Dragon Hall would be handed over to the Dark Red Divine Dragon. He would be in charge of gathering demonic beasts, strange beasts, and the 10,000 ancient tribes. The Unparalleled Hall would naturally be in memory of Unparalleled City. Lin Xian was a member of Unparalleled City. One day he would make Unparalleled City appear again. At the moment, the Unparalleled Hall would be handed over to Fu Hongye and the others to recruit outstanding human disciples. As for the Sacred Hall, it would naturally be in the quintessential world. Lin Xian felt that the quintessential world and the buried Emperor Star were very mysterious. One day a passage would be opened. This would allow the traffic between the two sides to be smoother. He had established the Divine Union not only to resist the Dragon Palace, but also to resist the 10,000 Dragon Court and the Purple Mansion. One day the Divine Union would stand above all the other realms. Chapter 48-28. The news of Lin Xian getting rid of the spies spread through the Path sect and caused quite a stir. Some people said that this kid was quite ambitious. Others said that it was useless. As long as the Dragon Palace was around, they would never allow the Divine Union to grow. Sending spies was just the beginning. There would be more and more powerful attacks to deal with the Divine Union. The people from the Dragon Palace looked gloomy. However, they did not have the time to deal with the Divine Union. After all, there was going to be a grand banquet in the Path sect. When the time came, they would have to challenge and fight. The patriarch of the Path sect would also attend the banquet. If they could catch the eye of the patriarch and be accepted as a disciple, they would definitely soar. Then they would be able to soar. They would obtain 10 times or even 100 times more cultivation resources than they currently had. They would be able to receive the personal guidance of the sacred master and even enter the core area of the Path sect to cultivate. When that happened, it would be easy for them to annihilate the Divine Union. The Divine Union continued to proceed in an orderly manner. After a few halls were established, the dark red Divine Dragon, Fu Hongye, and the others started to recruit members. Lin Xian had nothing to do. When he had nothing to do, he would enter the Sword World to see how the Medicine King was doing. He would also take on a few missions in exchange for the right to enter the Mystic Ability Valley and cultivate some of the Path sect's ultimate mystic abilities. On this day, Lin Xian received news that the 3 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs he had taught had already been refined into elixir pills by the great sage. He would get a third of them. Lin Xian went to the mission hall and retrieved the elixir pills. After swallowing them, he started to cultivate. Before long, he heard a voice outside. "You're finally back. After disappearing for more than a year, I thought you had perished outside." A grumbling voice was heard. Lin Xian opened his eyes and smiled. It was Miss Bai. Bai Susu said, "Are we not that unfamiliar with each other? I'm about to join the Divine Union. Is this how you address me? Call me Susu from now on." Lin Xian smiled when he heard this. Did this mean that she had agreed to join the Divine Union? This was really good news. "I do have this idea. However, you have to come with me before that." "Where?" Lin Xian was puzzled. Bai Susu said, "To see my parents." Lin Xian was stunned. He had only asked her to join the Divine Union, not to marry her. Was he going to meet her parents so soon? Bai Susu's face reddened as she glared at Lin Xian. "You're spouting nonsense. My parents are both elders of the Dao sect. They also want to see exactly who you are, the person who has recently caused a storm in the Dao sect. Who knows, he might even give you some pointers." "Really? That's great. Let's go." Lin Xian was also overjoyed. He could finally meet these elders. The two of them rose into the air and flew towards the Dao sect. After flying for a while, they finally arrived in front of them. Up ahead, there were already very few people, and a terrifying aura could be felt. This was the core of the Dao sect. It seemed to have formed a world of its own. Lin Xian felt that if he didn't have a special method, he wouldn't be able to enter. Bai Susu took out a token that emitted an endless radiance. Only then did she open the spirit boundary entrance ahead. After entering, Lin Xian sighed. This was indeed the place where the elders cultivated. The inside of this space was no different from an independent world. Furthermore, it was much stronger than the great path and heaven and earth energy he possessed outside. He didn't know how many worlds had merged to form this. At that moment, a pair of cold eyes appeared in the sky ahead. It was a pair of blue eyes. In the blink of an eye, Lin Xian and Bai Susu were shrouded within it. Lin Xian stopped in his tracks. His hair stood on end. This gaze was too terrifying. It was scarier than any great sage he had ever seen. The great dragon sword soul in his body let out a low growl. 9 sun illusions appeared on Lin Xian's body to block it. Bai Susu, who was beside him, said, "Grandpa Firmament, it's me. So it's the little girl from the Bai family. Why did you bring someone from outside here?" An old voice with a hint of authority rang out. Bai Susu said, "My father wants to see him. This is my father's handwriting." Bai Susu opened a scroll. There were great paths dancing on it. It was a letter. After reading it, the pair of blue eyes slowly disappeared. "All right, let's go in. However, he can only enter your father's residence. He can't enter the territories of the other elders." "Thank you, Grandpa Firmament." Bai Susu kept the scroll. She pulled Lin Xian and Bai Susu in quickly. Lin Xian was shocked. The aura of this old man was really terrifying. Moreover, the rules here were really strict. After Lin Xian and Bai Susu left, an old man in blue robes appeared in the sky. His eyes shone with a deep blue radiance. 9 sun illusions. Could he be the successor of the 9 suns? No wonder he could be together with the little girl from the Bai family. The Dao sect was getting stronger and stronger. The old man smiled and disappeared into the blue sky. On the other side, Bai Susu said, "That was Grandpa Firmament. Her cultivation had reached the late stage of the great sage. She was known as the Firmament Saint." "The late stage of the great sage?" Lin Xian was shocked. They flew past many immortal mountains. Finally, they landed in a mountain range. There were a few pavilions in the mountain range. There weren't many, but they were all above the spirit eye of a supreme-grade spirit vein. On a mountain peak in the distance there was a man. He seemed to have turned into heaven and earth and was cultivating. At the foot of the mountain there was a lake. There were a few bamboo houses. There was a middle-aged woman beside the lake. She was cultivating there too. She seemed to have turned into the lake water. Lin Xian was shocked after seeing it. The understanding of Tao between the two of them was too deep. It had reached an unbelievable level. Bai Susu also stopped and said softly, "She's my mother and she's my father." Lin Xian stood there and watched silently. He felt his Tao and was enlightened. After a long time, the middle-aged man walked down from the mountain peak and came to Lin Xian in an instant. The middle-aged woman opened her eyes and said with a smile, "Susu, you are back." Susu walked up and said, "He is the Lin Xian that I was talking about." The middle-aged couple turned and looked at Lin Xian. Their eyes were filled with kindness. However, their cultivation levels were high after all, and Lin Xian still felt an immense pressure. The 9-yang divine body automatically defended. The illusion of 9 suns appeared. The middle-aged man, the levitation Saint Lord, nodded. As expected of the successor of the 9-yang divine body. "Young man, you are lucky to have the 9-yang divine body. After reaching the greater mastery, your strength is far above mine. Senior, you are too polite." Lin Xian said humbly. The levitation Saint Lord smiled. "You don't have to be humble. The 9-yang divine body that reached the greater mastery. It swept through everything. It was even above the saint realm. However, it was too difficult to reach the greater mastery." Chapter 48-29. Lin Xian's eyes glowed with a golden radiance as he said, "Give me time and I will surpass everything." "How bold." The levitation saint laughed. "This is the most interesting answer I've heard in a few thousand years. Young man, you are very confident. However, this path will only get harder as you progress. You might not be able to break through in a few thousand years. You have to be prepared. I also heard that you have a conflict with the Dragon Prince. How do you plan to face the Dragon Palace in the future?" Obviously, the levitation saint was also very concerned about Lin Xian's attitude. After all, Bai Susu was also someone who wanted to join the Divine Union. Lin Xian said that even if they weren't enemies, they would fight for the throne in the future. There would definitely be a battle. Even if it wasn't the Dragon Prince, I might have a battle with the Dragon Prince. Lin Xian's eyes glowed even more fiercely. It was as if he had turned into 2 suns. The middle-aged woman was shocked. Even the levitation saint was stunned. To be honest, he hadn't expected Lin Xian to be so confident that he would dare to fight with the Dragon Prince. That was the Emperor's son. When he grew up, he would dominate the world. Even a greater success 9-yang divine body might not be able to compete with the Emperor's son. After all, the Emperor's son had the bloodline of the Arch and the Emperor's scripture. He might even have an extreme weapon by his side. Such an existence would be an uncrowned king in an era where thearchs didn't appear. Lin Xian said as if he could sense their doubts. "From what I know, the Emperor's son has a unique bloodline and the ancient scripture. His future is limitless. However, I have read the ancient records of the Tao sect. It is recorded that the Emperor's son will dominate the world when he grows up. He is even more terrifying than a divine body or a sacred body. However, he will never become an emperor. His bloodline is his advantage, but it is also his shackle. In other words, anyone who can become an emperor isn't an emperor's son. Why don't I have this opportunity? Young man, you are very good. I have high hopes for you." The levitation saint smiled. He seemed to be witnessing the rise of a young emperor. He said, "Susu can join the Divine Union. Besides, I don't have much to give you. Let me give you a greeting gift." As he spoke, he stretched out 2 fingers and tapped on Lin Xian's forehead. Countless great daos intertwined between Lin Xian's brows. Lin Xian was stunned. A wisp of an illusion appeared in his eyes, and a voice rang out by his ear. "This is the scene of me comprehending the Grand Tao in the past. How much you can comprehend will depend on your fortune." Lin Xian stood there as if he had fallen into an epiphany, as if he had turned into a statue. Bai Susu was worried. The middle-aged woman smiled and said, "Don't worry. He's comprehending." The levitation saint waved his hand and left with Bai Susu and the other 2. A cool breeze blew by, stirring up the surface of the lake. Only Lin Xian remained standing there. 2 months later, Bai Susu came by and found that Lin Xian was still meditating there. She left. On the 3rd month, she sat by the lakeside again. At this time Lin Xian's body shook and he let out a long cry. The 9 heavens and 10 earths were shaking, and there was even thunder in the sky. Bai Susu stood up and said, "How was it? Did you comprehend anything?" Lin Xian said, "Thank you, father. I feel like I'm about to break through. I need strength." In the Sage King realm, resources alone were not enough to break through. Even if you were given more resources, your standard was limited and you wouldn't be able to break through. For example, a wooden bucket could only hold a certain amount of water. Even if you were given an ocean, you could only hold a bucket of water. As for the neck, you needed to comprehend the Grand Tao and break through to a higher level. Only then could you expand your capacity for strength. Lin Xian had obtained a great opportunity. His understanding of the Grand Tao deepened, and he felt that he could hold more strength. Now all he needed was strength. "Susu, bring me out. I want to return to the god's residence." Bai Susu brought Lin Xian quickly and they left the core area. Then they returned to the god's residence. After entering, the thunder in the sky seemed to be faintly descending. Bai Susu frowned and felt a sense of fear. Lin Xian said, "Go back first. I'll look for you after I break through." Bai Susu nodded. She said, "Why do I feel that something is wrong? Do you need my father to protect you?" Lin Xian looked up and said, "It's just a heavenly punishment. It's not the first time I've seen it. It's fine." Bai Susu was shocked. Heavenly punishment, this was the punishment from the heavenly Tao. It was even more terrifying than the heavenly tribulation. Why would Lin Xian face heavenly punishment? She didn't understand. The dark red dragon flew over and advised that this kid had a way to deal with it. All right, Bai Susu went back to ask her father. Actually, when Lin Xian was about to break through, the Levitation Saint Lord already felt it. Not only him but the entire core area was alarmed. Why would heavenly punishment descend? In just an instant, Lin Xian disappeared and heavenly punishment slowly disappeared. What's going on? They went to investigate. Many powerful elders sent their subordinates down to investigate. The Levitation Saint Lord also called Bai Susu back and asked, "How is that kid related to heavenly punishment?" "I don't know." Bai Susu shook her head. Next, they investigated and finally got some news. After all, Lin Xian was very famous in Taiching Ancient City. Soon they got news about Lin Xian. How did this happen? Immortal tomb physique. Bai Susu was shocked and didn't dare to believe it. The Levitation Saint Lord also frowned. Someone from Immortal Tomb could reach this step? And he could even break through now. This is too unbelievable. Susu, his future doesn't look good. The Levitation Saint Lord frowned. "I don't care. Father, you have to help him." The Levitation Saint Lord sighed. "With his talent and the 9 sons descendant, I can recommend him to the old ancestor during the Tao sect ceremony. Some of the old ancestors will be interested and might even take him in as a disciple. But now the chances are slim. No one will nurture someone who has no hope in the future. Impossible, there must be a mistake. How can Lin Xian be someone from Immortal Tomb? You know that he is very powerful." Bai Susu didn't believe it. The Levitation Saint Lord said, "Forget it, I will still recommend him to the old ancestor. But I don't know the details." The other elders also got news about Lin Xian. Some sighed. What a pity. Most people didn't pay attention to it anymore. Lin Xian was powerful and could compete with the Dragon Prince. But how far could someone without a future go? The Tao sect was also in an uproar. They felt their hair stand on end. At this moment, everyone looked up. The red thunder seemed to be able to destroy everything. Even the people from Dragon Palace were shocked. What is going on? Go and investigate. Countless people went to investigate. The people from the God Manor were also on guard. Because above them, the thunder was the most terrifying. This was the legendary heavenly punishment. Nalan Liang was shocked. Why would it come to their God Manor? Damn it, if the heavens want to strike, they should strike the people from Dragon Palace. Chapter 48:30. The dark red divine dragon was equally surprised. Damn, is there anything wrong with this kid? After all, the current sky punishment was too terrifying. Lin Xian's face was cold. He said to the dark red divine dragon, Fu Hongye, and the others that he would start the seal now. No one was allowed to enter the entire divine abode. I'm going to go into seclusion to break through. You don't have to worry. After he finished speaking, he walked towards a large hall and activated the array formation after entering. Then he entered the sword world. When he entered this world, he felt that the sky punishment's aura that threatened him had disappeared. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. This sword world was too mysterious. It could even block the sky punishment of the heavenly Tao. I wonder who created this world? He didn't care so much anymore. After entering, he took out the spiritual herbs that he had obtained before and the pills that he had rewarded. He swallowed all of them. Energy quantification spread out in his body and surged. Lin Xian roared towards the sky. Not enough. Not enough. At this moment, the great dragon sword spirit and 9 yang divine body required too much energy. Lin Xian flew towards the 4-spirit valley. When he arrived, the spirit vein was also surprised. This kid's aura was growing at an extremely fast speed. Could it be that he was about to break through? Lin Xian arrived at the valley and looked at the Medicine King. At this moment, the Medicine King had recovered quite a bit under the illumination of the 4 spirit veins and the dragon flame star in the sky. Half of the Medicine King should be enough for him to break through. After all, he had eaten a lot of heaven and earth treasures before. Seeing this scene, the spirit dragon roared. Kid, leave it behind. Maybe it can grow again. They had been guarding this Medicine King for many years. They couldn't bear to destroy it just like that. Lin Xian nodded to show that he understood. With a wave of his hand, he put away all the spiritual herbs on the ground, leaving only a root in the soil. Perhaps it would grow out in the future. After swallowing half of the Medicine King, he felt as if 1,000,000 volcanoes were erupting in his body. His body was about to split open as he roared towards the sky. Boom, boom. At the same time, dark clouds gathered in the sky. Thunder was descending. Was there lightning tribulation here too? The 4 spirit beasts were shocked. Lin Xian's eyes also lit up as he charged towards thunder. As long as it wasn't heavenly punishment, he wasn't afraid. No matter how strong the lightning tribulation was, he had the confidence to contend against it. Thunder fell from the sky, and it was even scarier than the thunder outside. Lin Xian fought fiercely. His body was shattered, but his eyes were even brighter. After this battle, he would become a late-stage Saint King, and his power would be much stronger than before. Outside, those people were waiting anxiously, especially Fu Hongye and the others. I wonder how he is doing? However, what made them heave a sigh of relief was that the sky punishment in the sky had gradually disappeared. In the Tao sect, the other people were rapidly gathering information. They already knew that the heavenly punishment was coming from the divine dwellings. It must have something to do with Lin Xian and the others, so they specifically collected information about them. Not long after, Dragon Palace received the news. When they saw the news, they laughed complacently. So that brat was from the immortal burial ground. He had no future. He was a dead man. Is a person who is not tolerated by heaven and earth qualified to compete with our Dragon Palace? He is courting death. The other people in the Tao sect were also in an uproar. Some people sighed. Lin Xian was so heaven-defying. I thought he would be the second Dragon Prince. I didn't expect that he couldn't be compared to the Dragon Prince. That's right. Dragon Palace was founded by the Dragon Prince, and the Dragon Prince was only the second. If he couldn't even compete with the Dragon Prince, how could he compete with Dragon Palace? He is strong now, but his strength will only reach this level in his lifetime. And we have a limitless future. These people discussed fervently. Dragon Palace sneered. A mere divine dwellings was nothing to be afraid of. When Lan Jiu heard the news, his eyes shone with a sharp light. Great. If Lin Xian continued to grow, she wouldn't have much of a chance. But the other party was from the immortal burial ground, and his strength wouldn't grow any stronger. This way she would have a chance to strike. In an instant, the divine dwellings were looked down upon again. Originally, Fu Hongye had contacted many geniuses to join the dark red divine dragon. But these people had all rejected them. Even Lin Xian didn't have a future. The divine dwellings couldn't grow at all. What should I do? Half a month had passed. Fu Hongye frowned. I wonder how little Uncle Master is doing? Lu Yuan also said that those geniuses from before didn't plan to join. The dark red divine dragon gritted his teeth. Let's not care about that for now. Let's wait for this kid to come out of seclusion. After waiting for another half a month, the sealed hall finally opened. Lin Xian walked out with a smile on his face. After a month of battle, he finally resisted the lightning tribulation and successfully broke through. At this moment he had reached the late-stage Grand Sage realm. Kid, you broke through. The dark red divine dragon was surprised. Lu Yuan, Fu Hongye and the others' eyes also lit up. Great. Not only was Lin Xian not in danger, but he had also broken through. This allowed a huge rock in their hearts to finally be lifted. Great. Who said that we were from the immortal burial ground? We could have broken through, okay? The dark red divine dragon snorted. The toad also roared. Yes, let's go out and let those people see. How dare they say that our divine dwellings have no future? They must be blind. Lin Xian also learned about the situation a month ago. It turned out that during this period of time when he was in seclusion to break through, a lot of news about him had already spread outside. Even some geniuses who had originally agreed to join the divine dwellings had rejected them. Lin Xian knew that he had to go out and show his strength. Let's go out and take a look. Lin Xian and the others walked out. The Dao sect was becoming more and more lively. After all, the Dao sect's grand ceremony was about to begin. It was a grand event. The people of the Dao sect were all busy, but when they saw Lin Xian and the others, they were all stunned. It was this kid. Wasn't he from the immortal burial ground? He actually dared to come out? A person with no future was not worth paying attention to. Many people shook their heads. But soon they were stunned. They discovered that an extremely terrifying aura was coming from Lin Xian's body. This was the cultivation of a late-stage Grand Sage realm. That's not right. I remember that this kid was a mid-stage Grand Sage realm before. How did he become a late-stage Grand Sage realm? Could it be that he broke through? For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. When the news spread, everyone rushed over to watch. Heavens, are my eyes playing tricks on me? He really broke through. How was this possible? Wasn't he from the immortal burial ground? He couldn't break through at all. There was no future. What was going on with him? Could it be that he broke the curse? What kind of joke was this? How terrified were the two people from the immortal burial ground in history? They were called young great emperors, but weren't they the same? But what was going on with this kid's cultivation? Could it be that he wasn't from the immortal burial ground? Was the news fake? Chapter 48-31. The people from Dragon Palace were also stunned when they heard the news. You said that the kid had broken through? How was that possible? They sneered. Who spread the fake news? However, their subordinates shook their heads. No, that kid had come out personally. He was in the square of the True Path sect and there were already countless people watching. Damn it. Let's go and take a look. The people from Dragon Palace walked over. Lan Ziyu also shook her head frantically when she heard the news. Impossible, it must be fake. She gritted her teeth. She also wanted to see what the other party was doing. A group of people walked over. Get out of the way. A cold voice came from the back of the crowd. Everyone was unhappy. Who was so arrogant? However, when they saw that it was the people from Dragon Palace, they all obediently made way for them. The people from Dragon Palace walked over and said, that person from the immortal graveyard was a piece of trash. How dare he be so arrogant? Cripple your ass. The toad ran over. Grandson, kneel down and kowtow to your grandfather. Damn toad, do you want to die? Damn grandson, do you want to die? The toad's mouth could anger people to death. The people from Dragon Palace were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They ignored the toad and stared at Lin Xian. In the next moment, their pupils shrank. They originally wanted to see a joke, but they found that Lin Xian seemed to have really broken through. How was that possible? Lan Ziyu also exclaimed. No illusion. You must have used an illusion. This is a smokescreen. You are a person with no future. It is impossible for you to break through. She looked like a lunatic. Lin Xian glanced at her and said indifferently, you don't have the strength, but you want others to decline? You are really like an ant. My cultivation is a smokescreen? I am afraid your cultivation is too low to see it. There were experts present. They could tell whether it was an illusion or not. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back. His aura spread clearly in all directions. It must be an illusion. The people from Dragon Palace roared. There were indeed experts in the crowd. They were shocked because they found that it was not an illusion at all. However, no one dared to explain at this time. Whoever helped Lin Xian was going against Dragon Palace. Lin Xian's face darkened as he stared at the people from Dragon Palace. Was this an illusion? Why don't you personally test my strength? He looked at the people in front of him and said, you guys are too weak. Come at me together. If you can block a slap from me, I will admit that it is an illusion. Everyone gasped. At this moment, there were more than a dozen people from Dragon Palace. All of them were top experts. Now that they were being looked down upon, they wanted to fight together? This Lin Xian was probably too arrogant. You dare to look down on me? The people of Dragon Palace roared. Lan Ziyu also roared angrily. Despicable, don't be so arrogant. Lin Xian laughed. Me? Arrogant? Who was the one who kept saying that I had no future? Suppressing the divine union? How dare you say I'm arrogant now? So what if I'm arrogant? If you're not convinced, come at me. Lin Xian stood there, ready to challenge all the experts of Dragon Palace. However, Lan Ziyu pulled a long face. Even if his opponent hadn't broken through, so what? When his opponent had been a middle saint, he had been able to kill his brother. He had even destroyed the incarnation of the Dragon Prince. These people were no match for them at all. Sure enough, the rest of the people of Dragon Palace didn't dare to step forward. They gritted their teeth and said, "Brat, you can be arrogant." Now the experts of Dragon Palace are preparing for the grand ceremony of True Path sect. They don't have time to deal with you. Otherwise, do you think you can contend with any expert on the profound role? That's right. Last time, you were just lucky and the incarnation of the Dragon Prince was careless. That's why you succeeded. Otherwise, the Dragon Prince could have killed you with a finger if he had come personally. The people of Dragon Palace roared. Lin Xian said indifferently, "What's the point of talking so much? Let's fight. Let's fight to the end. A battle to the death is fine." Having said that, he drew a life and death contract. Dragon Palace, who dares to sign a life and death contract with me? The people of Dragon Palace were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They wanted to roar, but Lin Xian drew the life and death contract. His voice spread throughout the entire True Path sect. "I'll wait for you here for 3 days. Within 3 days I'll fight any expert from Dragon Palace to the death." When the news came out, everyone was in an uproar. One had to know that 3 days was enough to invite any expert. It was even possible to invite the real body of the Dragon Prince. Kid, just you wait. The people of Dragon Palace went back and prepared to invite the experts who were in seclusion. However, those people didn't come at all. They only had one goal, which was the grand ceremony of True Path sect. Therefore, they didn't have time to care about Lin Xian. Just like that, 2 days passed and no one dared to come. The dark red dragon sneered. "So this is Dragon Palace? What a coward." The toad snorted. "Let's see who's the ant." They started to recruit talents. Sure enough, some people went up. They had no choice. Some of them wanted to join before, but they gave up because Lin Xian was from the immortal graveyard. Now that Lin Xian had broken through and broken the curse, they saw hope. In addition, Lin Xian's strength in the life and death battle made the entire Dragon Palace unable to raise their heads. In other words, no one in Dragon Palace dared to go against Lin Xian. If they followed such a person, their future would be limitless. In a short time, many people went up. The dark red dragon and Fu Hongye went through the assessment hurriedly. Those who met the requirements would join their main hall and become ordinary members. Then they would become core disciples according to their future contributions and missions to the spiritual abode. Many geniuses joined the spiritual abode. On the other side, the people of Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. Damn it. They wanted to suppress the other party, but they didn't expect to benefit them. Damn it. They couldn't let them be arrogant. The group went back again. Whoever joined the Divine Union would be an enemy of Dragon Palace. They emitted a cold aura. Many people felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian stood up. "Who dares to fight me to the death?" Those people retreated in fear. "Get lost if you don't dare." After saying that, Lin Xian drew a sword mark in front of him. Anyone who crossed the line would die. Lin Xian alone intimidated the heroes of Dragon Palace. Countless people were shocked. This was a true powerhouse. One word from him could suppress everyone. In a short time, more people wanted to join the Divine Union. The people of Dragon Palace were furious. They couldn't beat the other party here, so they might as well go back. After the ceremony ended, any expert from Dragon Palace would be able to destroy the other party. At that time, would the people of the Divine Union still dare to be arrogant? 3 days had passed and Lin Xian withdrew the life and death contract. He said faintly. The Dragon Palace was really disappointing. How could such a person suppress the Divine Union? What a joke. He looked around and said, "Join the Divine Union and I'll bring you to the top of the world." Countless people yearned for it. Seeing that many people wanted to join, Lin Xian smiled. He left the details to Fu Hongye and the Dark Red Dragon. He didn't need to care. Bai Susu was also there. When she saw that Lin Xian was fine, she was so excited that she almost cried. "That's great. I was really worried about you." Chapter 48-32. Bai Susu said, "I have also joined the Divine Union. Why don't you give me the title of Hall Master as well?" Lin Xian smiled. "You are late. The distribution is already done." "You rascal." Bai Susu was fuming. Lin Xian said, "However, how could I treat you unfairly? I will let you be the Grand Elder of the Divine Union." "That was more like it." Bai Susu snorted. "Those two are not famous. Let me help you recruit people." Indeed, the Dark Red Divine Dragon and Fu Hongye had been busy for a long time but had only recruited a few dozen people. When Bai Susu left, hundreds of people immediately surrounded her. It couldn't be helped. Bai Susu was very famous, and some experts knew that her parents were elders of the Tao sect. They lived in the core area. The divine union could only grow if it had the support of the elders. After all, even the Dragon Palace had the support of many elders and even patriarchs. The founder of the Dragon Palace was the Dragon Prince, who was an emperor. Those patriarchs attached great importance to it. Actually, it wasn't just the Dragon Palace. Anyone who wanted to establish a faction in the Tao sect had the support of an elder. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to maintain it. Things here had finally settled down. Lin Xian was more relaxed. He continued to consolidate his cultivation base in the remaining days before entering the Sword World. He went to the Four-Spirit Valley. He had already swallowed the Medicine King and only the roots were left. He picked out a few precious spirit herbs and planted them again. Lin Xian didn't even plant 10,000-year-old spirit herbs. He had planted 20,000-year-old ones. There were a total of 3 of them. These hadn't been easy to come by. Previously he had collected all sorts of spirit herbs for Xiaojiu. These had all been collected during that time. However, he didn't know if these could save Xiaojiu and extend her lifespan. Lin Xian hadn't been confident before. However, after the nurturing of the Sword World, this might not necessarily be the case. Lin Xian had discovered when he had swallowed the Medicine King. Although he hadn't planted it for long, the effects were indeed much better than before. In other words, the mystery of the Sword World was far beyond his imagination. When he had time, he would make a trip to the spirit domain to see if there were any precious spirit herbs there. If he could obtain them, he was prepared to return to the true spirit world immediately. He gave these spiritual herbs to Xiaojiu to prolong his life. With the addition of Bai Susu, the Celestial Palace grew stronger and stronger. The people of Dragon Palace gnashed their teeth. Damn it! Did the elder's daughter join as well? Lan Jiu's eyes were red. Why was the other party so lucky? She gritted her teeth. It seemed that she had to take action herself. He would try his best to get rid of the other party before the ceremony. Otherwise, if the other elders or old men took a fancy to him during the ceremony, he would not have another chance in the future. Thinking of this, she took her heart of the realm and went to find an expert from the Dragon Palace. Long Jingfeng, an expert of the Wind Dragon clan. He was an expert on the Profound Board. Both their strength and status were extremely high. At this moment, he was also in seclusion for the Tao sect's grand ceremony. On this day, Lan Jiu came to his residence and asked for an audience. A battle servant walked over and said, "My young master is cultivating with all his might and won't see any guests. Please return." Lan Jiu clenched her teeth. She knew that with her current status, she simply didn't have the qualifications to see him. She said, "I know that young Master Jingfeng is at a critical moment in his cultivation. I'm willing to give him half a world's worth of resources just to see him." The battle servant was taken aback. Then he said, "Wait here, I'll go inform him." Half a world's worth of resources? How much was that? He couldn't imagine it at all. Therefore, he couldn't make the decision on this matter. Soon he returned. "My young master invites you." Lan Jiu was invited in. In the main hall in front, a man in a green robe stood up. Dragon scales flashed on his body, and the law of wind revolved around him. "So it's Jiu? Why are you looking for me?" Long Jingfeng smiled. Lan Jiu said, "I want you to introduce me to the Dragon Crown Prince. If you can do it, I'll give you an entire world, let alone half a world." Long Jingfeng was taken aback. Then he said, "It should be because of your brother. You want to take revenge, but you don't have the strength, so you're prepared to rely on the Dragon Crown Prince's power." "That's right." Lan Jiu nodded. She didn't intend to hide this. Long Jingfeng smiled. Someone like the Dragon Crown Prince was too arrogant. He had countless women by his side. You might not be able to get him to help you take revenge. Why don't you stay by my side? I'll help you take revenge. Long Jingfeng was also a member of the Dragons, the Wind Dragon clan. He was also very strong. Lan Jiu thought about it and gritted her teeth. "Thank you for thinking so highly of me, but I still want to see the Dragon Crown Prince. Even if I become dust by his side, I'll accept it. This is my world core. I'll give it to you. I hope you can help me. After it's done, I won't forget your benefits. An entire world's worth of resources. Even the great sage would be envious, let alone her." Long Jingfeng took it and said, "Okay, I'll introduce you. I can even help you stay by the Dragon Crown Prince's side and get what you want. But you have to help me." "What do you want?" Lan Jiu asked. Long Jingfeng said, "Resources. More cultivation resources." I'll introduce you to the Dragon Crown Prince and you give me a world. If I help you become the Dragon Crown Prince's Dao companion, you give me 3 worlds. How about that? 3 worlds? Lan Zhiyu's pupils shrank. She couldn't take it out, but it would be different if she really became the Dragon Crown Prince's Dao companion. Her status and the resources she needed would all undergo earth-shattering changes. She gritted her teeth and said, "Okay, as long as I can become the Dragon Crown Prince's Dao companion, I'm willing to give you 3 worlds." Very good. Long Jingfeng smiled. He said, "Go back and dress up. I'll take care of the rest." Lan Zhiyu left. She had hope in her heart. As long as she could get the Dragon Crown Prince's support, killing Lin Xian would be easy. Lin Xian didn't know any of this. He was currently refining pills with Dan Feng. Lin Xian was also an expert in the pill Dao, and he had already promised the first batch of 9 people. He wanted these 9 people to fight for the top 30 on the stars ranking. He was a man of his word. These 3 people's strength was average. It was impossible for them to enter the top 30 on their own. But he wanted to go against the heavens. If these impossible people could do it, what would the others think? They would probably go crazy and want to join the Divine Union. That was the effect he wanted. Lin Xian was already very good at refining pills. Together with Dan Feng and Fan Xing, the 2 of them were top experts. Therefore, cauldron after cauldron of pills were refined. After the 9 people received them, they were so excited that they cried. They said, "Young master, we swear to follow you to death." Lin Xian smiled and said, "Hurry up and consume them. As for martial arts, I'll let the Dark Red Dragon and Fu Hongye teach you. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to ask. I'll definitely make you the first batch of experts." Chapter 48-33. Under the guidance of a large amount of elixir pills and martial arts, the strength of the 9 of them improved by leaps and bounds. Finally, under the leadership of the Dark Red Dragon, they started to challenge the experts on the star ranking. These 9 people had not been able to make it onto the star ranking before. However, they had done it this time. They first challenged the 85th person on the star ranking and succeeded. Subsequently, the 70th and 60th star ranking got closer and closer. In an instant there was an uproar. Someone had risen. Their ranking had risen so quickly. Furthermore, it wasn't just 1 person but 9 people. Were these 9 people crazy? Could they have had a fortuitous encounter? They asked around and finally found out that these 9 people were actually from the Divine Union. Furthermore, they had only joined recently. The Divine Union had only been established for a few years and these people had only joined for 1 or 2 years. Were they already so terrifying? The Dark Red Dragon said, "That's right. Do you see that? If you join the Divine Union, your strength will improve by leaps and bounds. What are you guys hesitating for?" In an instant there was an uproar. The people from the Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. Stop them. They had also mobilized the experts on the star ranking. However, in the end, these 9 people successfully made it to the top 30 of the star ranking. In an instant, the Path sect was in an uproar. The top 30 of the star ranking had changed completely. Apart from the people from the Dragon Palace, the Divine Union had the most people. Almost 1/3 of them were in the top 30. Many people were envious. They had no hope of making it onto the star ranking. Even if they did, they would be suppressed by the Dragon Palace. If they did not join the Dragon Palace, they would be severely suppressed. However, they now saw a glimmer of hope. The Divine Union was here. Go quickly. This time, the results of challenging the star ranking were very good. Hundreds of people rushed to the Divine Union in an instant, wanting to join. The Dark Red Dragon was so happy that his mouth was crooked. This was great. This would be a very effective group of experts. With more people, they would be able to carry out all sorts of actions. For example, they could form teams to accept missions from the Path sect and conquer other worlds. All of these required manpower. Some worlds were desolate with only demonic beasts and no humans. However, there were large amounts of spirit veins, mineral veins, and various precious metals. If one wanted to seize these resources in such a world, they would have to go through countless battles. They would have to fight demonic beasts and contend with experts from other worlds. All of these required manpower. With the addition of these geniuses, not only did the Divine Union have a large number of experts, but these geniuses also had families and sects behind them. That was also a limitless amount of resources. Therefore, the Divine Union was extremely lively right now. Nalan Liang and Yu Run were both excited. They had joined earlier than the other 9 people, so they had obtained more pills and resources. At this moment, The two of them had already charged into the top 10 of the star's rankings. He had also become one of the top experts on the star's list. Neither of them dared to believe it. One had to know that Nalan Liang had not joined the Tao sect twice. Although Yuren had joined, he was only an ordinary disciple. But now they were standing in a dazzling place, receiving the worship of countless people. All this was given to them by Lin Xian. As for the Crimson Divine Dragon, the Toad, Fu Hongye and Lu Yuan, they had already begun to compete on the Jade board. The Divine Union was getting stronger and stronger. The people of Dragon Palace gritted their teeth and began to secretly prepare and gather strength. They wouldn't allow the Divine Union to continue growing? However, there were also some who sneered. It was useless. Everything the other party did was futile. When the Tao sect's grand ceremony came, everyone would know how powerful Dragon Palace was. That would be the place where they would display their strength. Lin Xian and Nalan Liang's side was going very smoothly. However, the Nalan family was in a crisis. Nalan Yanran furrowed her brows tightly. This time she was facing a life and death choice. It had already been more than 2 years since she had returned from the Medicine Star. However, she had provoked a formidable enemy. After returning from the Medicine Star, she had gained a lot. However, she had not obtained the Medicine King in the end. She could only feel depressed. However, on the way back she had discovered a unique beast under the starry sky. This had made her feel very excited. This unique beast was very young. If she could capture it, it would be a heaven-defying treasure. It would be even more precious than the Medicine King. One had to know that, besides her strength and talent, she was so terrifying because she had previously encountered a fortuitous encounter. She had obtained the great opportunity of the Ice Phoenix Nirvana. This time she had encountered another good thing. It was a demonic dragon. It was a unique species of dragons. It was very precious. Its entire body was a treasure. Nalan Yanran felt that her good luck had come again. Therefore she chased after it with all her might. Although the demonic dragon was small, it had all kinds of powerful dragons. In the end it escaped. Nalan Yanran felt that it was a pity. Such a great opportunity had been lost for no reason. How could she not feel heartache? However, there was nothing she could do. She thought that this matter was going to be settled. However, a year ago the demonic dragon returned and brought an expert with it. The other party came for revenge and found Nalan Yanran. In that battle, Nalan Yanran was very frightened. She and the experts of the Tianzong sect went to carry out a mission and were killed. Except for her, who was seriously injured and had to flee, the others had all died. Moreover, the ones who chased after her were the demonic dragon and a demonic man. Nalan Yanran's face became incomparably ugly. She knew that the other party had returned for revenge. She could only hide. In the following year, she lived very nervously, afraid that the other party would come to her door at any time. Half a year ago, she finally quietly returned to the family and breathed a sigh of relief. With the strength of the Nalan family, so what if the other party came for revenge? However, the matter was not over. It was much more serious than she had imagined. She found that after returning to the family for a month, the people around her died every day. Those people had the aura of the demonic path and were abnormally ferocious. Nalan Yanran would never forget this aura because it was the same aura as the injuries on her body. In other words, the other party had found her and could come and go freely in her family. This caused her to become extremely terrified. She went to her father and grandfather for help. There were even several great sages protecting her. However, it was useless. Nalan Yanran did not die. The great sage did not die. However, the Nalan family had people dying every day. For a time, the Nalan family was in a state of panic. The elders of the Nalan family also frowned. Previously, they valued Nalan Yanran in all kinds of ways, but now the other party had caused such a great loss to the family. If it was not resolved properly, their family would suffer heavy losses. For a time, the status of the Nalan family rapidly declined. The people of their bloodline went crazy. They used all kinds of methods to contact the other party and decided to make up for it. However, it was useless. The other party replied that he only wanted Nalan Yanran's life. Damn it. The people of Nalan Yanran's bloodline went crazy with anger. The other party was obviously a great sage expert who was good at all kinds of concealment and assassination. He came and went without a trace. They could only passively defend in the open. Chapter 48-34. Damn it. Nalan Yanran gritted her teeth. Would she have to stay in the family for the rest of her life? Was this a joke? Nalan Yanran's grandfather's eyes flickered. It seemed that they had to find a way to get rid of this danger. "Grandfather, what should we do?" The old man said, "Invite the experts here. We'll gather a group of experts and wait for him to come. Then we'll fight him to the death. This is the only way to get rid of the danger. Otherwise, you'll be living in the shadows for the rest of your life." Nalan Yenran gritted her teeth. "All right, this time no matter the cost." Yenran's father said, "I'm afraid we can only provide resources. After all, the family is not optimistic about us. If we can get through this crisis, Yenran, you'll still be the number one in the family. Otherwise, the number one in the younger generation will change hands." The old man said, "This is easy. Invite the experts on the Holy Gulf list. We can use some of our resources." Nalan Yenran's side acted quickly. She went to invite the experts, including the experts from the Heavenly Sect and the experts on the Holy Gulf list. Nalan Yenran promised a lot of resources, which made the great sage jealous. However, when those people learned about the strange things that happened to the Nalan family, they all refused. There were experts who died mysteriously in the Nalan family every day. This kind of thing could not be hidden at all. It had already spread. In an instant, countless people were talking about it. Most of them knew that Nalan Yenran had offended a mysterious expert. That was why she was being hunted. The experts from the Heavenly Sect immediately shook their heads and refused. Although there were top geniuses among them who thought that they were extraordinary, they did not want to provoke such a terrifying expert for no reason. Even some of the people who were ranked lower on the Holy Gulf list refused. Nalan Yenran continued to increase her bargaining chip. Sure enough, someone came. Even Nalan Yenran's grandfather personally went out and invited an incredible expert. "That's great." Nalan Yenran's father was overjoyed. "Yenran, we're saved. The Six Paths Itinerant has agreed." "The Six Paths Itinerant?" Nalan Yenran also exclaimed. She naturally knew that the Six Paths Itinerant was an expert from the Six Paths sect. At the same time, he was also a super expert ranked 2001 on the Holy Gulf list. Nothing would go wrong if he helped. Great. Nalan Yenran clenched her fists. She saw hope. She said, "Why don't we invite more people? It's always safer with more people." "All right, I'll leave it to you." Next, Nalan Yenran spent a lot of money to invite a group of experts. With such resources, there were finally people who were envious and went for it. At the other side, in the Tao sect, Nalan Liang was shocked when he received the news. How could he not pay attention to the matters of the Nalan family? Thus he soon found out. Especially when he learned that Nalan Yenran had taken out the Bright Moon Returning Clouds painting. His eyes were red. This was a treasure that he had always wanted to obtain. However, no matter how he begged Nalan Yenran, she wouldn't give it to him. After all, his status wasn't as high as hers. Now that the other party had actually taken it out, he immediately went to find Lin Xian. He smiled and said, "Boss Lin, I have something good that you have to help me with." "What's going on?" Lin Xian was surprised. Nalan Liang said, "It's about our Nalan family." He told her everything that had happened before. Lin Xian also frowned. Nalan Liang said, "Boss Lin, don't worry. That mysterious expert has already been challenged. It's the unrestrained Six Paths. He's ranked 2001 on the Holy Gulf list. He's very strong, so we shouldn't be in any danger. Let's go and support him. When the time comes, I'll beg that sister. Maybe she'll give me the Bright Moon Returning Clouds painting." "Boss, this is a good thing. Contains great Tao. When the time comes, we can comprehend it together." "There's no need to comprehend it together. We're brothers. Since you need it, I'll naturally agree." The Nalan family was also a big family. Lin Xian also wanted to make friends with them. Furthermore, he had met Nalan Yenran before. If he could make friends with the other party, the Nalan family would completely stand on his side. The Divine Union would have another strong ally. How could Lin Xian miss out on such an opportunity? "All right, go and tell the family that we'll be there when the time comes." "That's great, Boss Lin." Nalan Liang was very happy. He hurriedly sent the news to the family. At the same time, Nalan Yenran also started to make preparations. She wasn't with the family. Instead, she went to the White Crane Tower and booked the 5th floor. At the same time, she set a time to sit on the 5th floor and invite the other experts over. At the same time, she sent out a challenge. The Nalan family spread the news that they were going to challenge the mysterious expert. The other party would definitely come. 5 days later, Nalan Yenran sat on the 5th floor of the White Crane Tower. Beside her were some disciples of the Nalan family. There were also many people. There were people from the Sky sect as well as other families and sections. They had all come to support her. She didn't care about these people. These people were just there to support her. The most important one was the scattered Six Paths. That powerhouse was the most important person to her. Outside the White Crane Tower, Lin Xian and Nalan Liang stopped. Lin Xian had a strange expression. He hadn't expected to come to the White Crane Tower again. It couldn't be helped. The White Crane Tower was too famous. Even if there was a big battle, it wouldn't be damaged. After all, it was an ancient tower formed by the great sage's body. Boss Lin, let's go. Nalan Liang was very happy. He led the way in front. When they reached the 5th floor, they saw many experts. Those people also turned to look at them. Nalan Yenran saw Nalan Liang. She glanced at him and was about to ignore him. However, when she saw the person beside him, she was stunned. She said in surprise, "It's you." "Yes, it's me. Fairy Nalan, long time no see. But you've lost a lot of weight." Nalan Liang was surprised. It seemed that they knew each other. He didn't know. His sister was the most powerful person in the family. When did Lin Xian know her? The people around were also surprised. Who was this person who dared to talk to Fairy Nalan in such a tone? Could it be that he was also a top expert of the younger generation? Nalan Liang walked over with a smile and said, "Sister, so you know each other. I won't introduce you. This is my boss." The experts around were even more surprised. The person in front of them was also a genius of the Nalan family. Although his status wasn't as high as Nalan Yenran's, he couldn't be underestimated. He actually recognized someone else as his boss. Who was this young man? For a moment, countless people came and went. When they felt that Lin Xian was only a late-stage holy king, they frowned slightly. Such a cultivation seemed to be a little weak. However, Nalan Yenran was surprised. "You've broken through." She was really too shocked. One had to know that when she fought with Lin Xian before, Lin Xian was only a middle-stage holy king. Now that he had broken through, his strength would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Maybe he had already surpassed her. La, isn't it? You didn't expect it. Please recommend, vote, subscribe, collect, reward. Chapter 48-35. Nalan Yenran looked at Lin Xian and said, "I didn't expect you to be acquainted with my useless younger brother. How surprising." Then she looked at Nalan Liang. "Alright, since you managed to get young Master Lin here, I can give you the Bright Moon Cloud map after this matter is over." "Really? That's great." Nalan Liang was excited. When Lin Xian saw this, his eyes lit up. He was shocked. It seemed that the difference in status between the two disciples of the Nalan family was huge. Nalan Liang seemed to be afraid in front of him. It seemed that he had to think of a way to raise Nalan Liang's status in the family. After all, he and Nalan Liang were brothers. "Mr. Lin, please take a seat." Nalan Yenran sat down and smiled. She recognized Lin Xian's strength. He was not weaker than her. However, she did not think that he would have the chance to fight this time. After all, the mysterious expert was too terrifying. Even a great sage would die if he met him. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he was not a match for him. So this time he was only here to help. At the same time, she smiled and said, "Mr. Lin, you made the right choice this time. There will be a senior coming later. I will introduce him to you." He was a top expert on the Abyss ranking. When she said this, a fiery red light appeared in her eyes. She looked up to the person on the Abyss ranking. The other people's eyes were also shining. Finally, he could see the legendary Almighty Master. Indeed, before long, a person walked in from outside. Everyone felt that the world had frozen. Their blood was boiling and their bodies were about to split open. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. This pressure was really too terrifying. Nalan Yenran's eyes lit up. She stood up and walked outside. "Senior Six Paths, you are finally here." When Nalan Yenran saw the figure below, she smiled. With this smile, the pressure in the world seemed to disappear. Many people looked over with their eyes wide open. Even Nalan Liang was shocked. Did they really invite the 6 Dao cultivators? A tall old man walked over. He was wearing armor and his aura was terrifying. He was the expert on the Abyss ranking, the 6 Paths. "Greetings, Senior." The Saint Kings who had been invited all bowed respectfully. In fact, there were even 2 great sages who looked at him respectfully. They had no choice. The other party was too strong. Nalan Liang felt cold all over. So did he. He quickly bowed. Only Lin Xian did not seem to have much of a reaction. Lin Xian's expression was strange. Was this the 6 Paths? Was this the expert that he had just stepped on? One had to know that the 6 Paths loose cultivator was ranked 2000th, but in the end he was forced to rank 2000th. But they did not know each other. He did not expect that they would meet here. Now, seeing that Lin Xian was sitting there unmoved, the expressions of the people around him changed. Even Nalan Yenran furrowed her brows. This Lin Xian was a little too reckless. Even though she had to admit that the other party was a top-notch genius who wasn't any weaker than her. But he could not be so arrogant. She was so respectful to the vagabond of 6 paths. How could he be so arrogant? Did he have a death wish? Forget it. She would not recommend him this time. Otherwise it would be bad for her if he angered the 6 paths. Nalan Liang said, "Boss Lin, why don't you bow too?" He was afraid that Lin Xian would anger such an expert. Lin Xian did not care. He took a sip of the spirit tea on the table and narrowed his eyes. He was waiting for the other party to bow? What a joke. The other party's ranking was lower than his. There was no need for him to bow. However, the others did not know. They all thought that Lin Xian did not know what was good for him. Even Nalan Liang sighed. But then he did not say anything. After all, they were only here to help. From now on, they might never see the vagabond of 6 paths again. If he was not respectful, then so be it. The 6 paths was like a god. Countless people looked up to him. When he saw that only Lin Xian was sitting there, unmoved, he frowned. But soon he ignored him. Perhaps an ant did not know how powerful he was. However, a young man stepped forward from behind him. He looked at Lin Xian and coldly shouted, "Kid, don't you know how to respect a powerful senior?" This young man was the disciple of the 6 paths. He was also very powerful. He was a young top genius. When he saw that Lin Xian did not respond, he was angry. Was this kid looking down on his master again? "Forgive me for being blind, but who is your master?" Lin Xian said calmly. He still had no intention of bowing. Feng Han was very angry. He said proudly, "My master is the 6 paths." His eyes were filled with pride. That name was enough to shock the world. When Lin Xian heard it, he immediately knelt on the ground. However, he was disappointed. Lin Xian said calmly, "Oh, that's it?" Feng Han was going crazy. "Oh, that's it? Shouldn't he be trembling in fear and then bowing down? Damn it, is this kid an idiot? Did he come from some mountain? He doesn't know his master's name. Yes, that must be it. So he's an ignorant ant. No wonder he's so arrogant." Feng Han snorted. "You'll know how powerful my master is later." Nalan Liang was angry. "He's too arrogant." Lin Xian shook his head. "It's fine." He did not even put the 6 paths in his eyes, let alone his disciple. What he was interested in now was the mysterious expert. What kind of person could make the Nalan family so miserable? The 6 paths sat down and asked calmly, "Fairy Nalan, how powerful is the mysterious person you mentioned?" Nalan Yenran said that the person was very terrifying. He should be a great sage. However, ordinary great sages would not even be able to dodge 3 of his moves and would fall. He came to the Nalan family without leaving a trace. "I had no choice but to ask for your help. It doesn't matter. No matter who it is, I'll just suppress them," the 6 paths said calmly. He had unlimited confidence in himself. After all, there were some people who were stronger than him. However, he would not purposely make things difficult for a little girl. The person who made a move on a junior was probably not someone powerful. When the surrounding people heard this, they kept nodding their heads, feeling envious. "Look, this is the demeanor of an expert. He's invincible. This is the realm that they want to reach in the future." Lin Xian shook his head and sighed. The 6 paths has underestimated his enemy. He doesn't even know who his enemy is. If he's careless, he might suffer a great loss. Since I'm so hardworking, please count my votes. Please recommend me. Monthly votes. Chapter 48-36. Hearing 6 paths' confident words, Nalan Yenran smiled. Nalan Yenran also smiled. She was naturally aware of the other party's strength. She took out a treasure box and opened it. "Senior, this is a world core. Take it. I'll give you another world core after this is over. We won't go back on our word. Please don't worry about that. From now on, you'll be my benefactor. I'll report this to the family head, and we'll have more opportunities to work together." When he saw the world core, a smile appeared on his face. He waved his hand and put the world core away. This time he didn't help 6 paths out of kindness for no reason. 6 paths had promised to give him 2 world cores after this was over. This way he would be able to use 2 worlds. That way he would be able to progress further on the path of martial arts. He even wanted to take revenge. This time he was trampled on by a guy called Mad God. This time he had to fight back. His name had to surpass Mad God's. With these two worlds as resources, his cultivation speed would be very fast. It wouldn't take long for him to achieve his goal. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their eyes turned red. That was a world core. They had the resources of a world. The Nalan family was really generous. Even Nalan Liang was envious. Six Paths had just given him the Returning Clouds painting, but he had given Six Paths an entire world's worth of resources. How infuriating. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't know that helping out was worth so much. If he had known, he would have accepted this task. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Perhaps this time he would really have a chance to make a move. Now they just had to wait. They wouldn't wait foolishly. Nalan Yenran took out the most exquisite delicacies and spirit tea as a treat. Everyone surrounded the Six Paths vagrant cultivator and treated him with respect. Only Lin Xian and Nalan Liang were exceptions. However, everyone ignored them. Instead, they distanced themselves from them. Halfway through the meal, the Nalan family's guards came to deliver a message. A strange figure appeared. Nalan Yenran put down her teacup. Her eyes were cold. She waved her hand and 6 figures flew out to investigate. However, in the next instant, a miserable shriek was heard. Nalan Yenran's face turned ugly. He felt that the souls of the 6 people had disappeared. In other words, they were killed in an instant. The others also frowned. What a terrifying method. These 6 people were not weak. Everyone heard a deep laugh. Then, footsteps came from the stairs and a man in a black robe appeared. You want to use such an ant to challenge me? Countless people looked forward. That was the mysterious man. Nalan Yenran's face also turned pale. That's right, it was this aura. She would never forget it. This tall figure was like a demon god. He stared at Nalan Yenran and said, "You dare to chase after my junior brother? I'll give you a chance. Kneel down obediently and accept your death. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead." Nalan Yenran's face was pale. She gritted her teeth and said, "I didn't know that he was your junior brother. Besides, I didn't succeed either. Your junior brother is safe and sound now. Why don't we resolve our grudges? You can name any conditions you want, and I'll agree to them all." Unless it was absolutely necessary, she did not want to offend such an expert. Don't know? The black-robed man laughed coldly. "I can give you conditions. The price is your life. Use your life to apologize to my junior brother." Impossible. Nalan Yenran roared. She could give any conditions, but it was impossible for her to die. She said, "Are there no other conditions?" The black-robed man laughed coldly. "Since you don't want to listen, don't blame me for doing it myself." His body emitted a terrifying demonic aura. Lin Xian frowned. This person was really strong. His demonic aura was so terrifying. Was he from the demon race? Nalan Yenran gritted her teeth. "Since you're so heartless, don't blame me." She turned to the 6 Paths and said respectfully, "Please help me suppress him." The 6 Paths nodded. He looked at the other party with a condescending look. The other party was indeed the great sage. But that was it. The other party's aura was not his match at all. He looked at the disciple beside him and said, "Feng Han, I'll leave this to you." Feng Han stood out and said, "Don't worry, master. I don't need you to deal with this trash. I can deal with him." Feng Han's eyes were filled with confidence. He was a Sage King pinnacle stage genius. Plus he was from the 6 Paths sect. Naturally, he had the strength to fight against those above his level. With his cultivation and the 6 Paths fist, it was not a problem for him to fight against the great sage. This time it was time for him to stand out. Seeing a young man walk out, the black-robed man frowned. "Ant, get lost. You're courting death. Take yours truly's power." Feng Han rushed out instantly. He waved his fists and it was as though there were 6 worlds behind him. 6 Paths fist. Firstly, he used his strongest skill because he wanted to make a name for himself in a single battle. The surrounding people were shocked. This Feng Han was too terrifying. He did not seem to be weaker than them. In fact, he seemed to be stronger. Even the top disciples of the 3 orthodoxies could not compare to him. Countless people were shocked. However, Lin Xian sighed. This guy was really courting death. This black-robed man was obviously the terrifying great sage. If he went up against him, he would definitely die. Seeing this, the black-robed man sneered. With a wave of his hand, a terrifying storm enveloped the area. With a loud clang, the surrounding void shattered. Then, a blood-curdling scream could be heard. Everyone's scalp went numb. They looked forward in disbelief. They saw the 6 Paths fist being grabbed by the opponent. Then the black storm tore Feng Han's body into pieces. One hit, one kill. Was he dead? Everyone could not believe it. That was the top genius of the Six Paths sect. He used the Six Paths fist. Moreover, his physique was extremely terrifying. But even so, he could not even block one hit? These people were scared out of their wits. The Six Paths loose cultivator's pupils constricted. Damn it, how dare you! He struck out with his palm. The terrifying palm covered the sky, trying to save his disciple. However, it was useless. Feng Han's soul had already been destroyed. He only caught a cloud of blood mist. Damn it, no matter who you are, I will send you to hell today. The Six Paths loose cultivator's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had searched for this disciple for hundreds of years before he found a genius. He had also spent hundreds of years to nurture him. Now his disciple had reached the peak of the Sage King realm, and the Six Paths fist had reached the small success stage. He was very satisfied. But now his disciple had fallen. He could not accept it. At the same time he was shocked. The person in front of him was more terrifying than he had imagined. Chapter 48-37. The Six Paths was enraged. He took a step forward and his power exploded. The surrounding heavens and earth crumbled, and the entire fifth level shook violently. Countless people retreated in fear. The great sage's anger would dye the nine heavens red. The Six Paths' eyes were filled with killing intent. He said, "This place is too small to fight. Come out with me. I'll make you regret it." The black-robed man sneered. "There's no need to go out. This place is enough because it won't be too troublesome to kill you." Arrogant. The Six Paths was enraged. He no longer hesitated and attacked with his palm. It was like the palm of a heavenly god, filled with shocking killing intent that shattered the void in front of it. Even a great sage would be reduced to a bloody mist in the blink of an eye. The black-robed man sneered. He waved his hand and a terrifying black storm rushed out. The two collided. It was as if 1,000 volcanoes had erupted. Luckily, the tower of white cranes was made from the body of the great sage. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed by this attack. After this attack, it seemed that they were evenly matched. The surrounding people had retreated far away. They were terrified. Was this the power of the great sage? Although they could fight above their level in the face of such a great sage expert, they had no power to resist. Nalan Yenran was extremely nervous. She clenched her fists. Her life was all on the Six Paths. She would naturally watch the battle nervously. On the other side, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Although it was only the first attack, he could already tell. He sighed. This person seemed to be more terrifying than he had imagined. "You're just SOSO." The Six Paths sneered when he saw that his palm was blocked. The mysterious expert was shocked. Six Paths fist? So he was from the Six Paths sect. "But you're too reckless. I'll kill anyone from the Six Paths sect." As he spoke, his eyes shone with a terrifying light. His aura became even more terrifying. He clapped his hands. His 5 fingers seemed to have turned into 5 demonic swords. They were filled with power. Then he slapped down mercilessly. Boom. With a palm strike, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. His 5 fingers drew a black dragon that danced between heaven and earth. Everyone's scalps went numb. They were so scared that they almost fainted. How much stronger was his strength? The Six Paths' pupils constricted. He knew that his opponent was stronger than he had imagined. He couldn't be careless. Six Paths fist. His hands danced non-stop as he threw out a punch. 6 phantoms appeared, accompanying his fist as it charged forward. Boom. Today's earth-shaking collision was like 2 worlds clashing, as if 10,000 bolts of lightning were descending. Buzz. At this time, the black-robed man's other hand slashed down like a black crescent moon, shaking the mountains and rivers. Six Paths unleashed his Six Paths fist with all his might to fight against the palm. He didn't expect his opponent to still have a killer move. This attack landed directly on his body. His arm was broken and he was sent flying. He roared and screamed miserably. His arm instantly recovered and he attacked again. However, the other party's hands danced. Demonic light. Between his palms, there was an extremely terrifying black light being emitted. Heaven and earth trembled. Everyone was terrified. It was as if a demonic world had been opened. It was a peerless divine ability. Even Lin Xian was shocked. He took Nalan Liang and kept retreating. Heaven and earth cracked in front of them. It was a destructive aura. After the terrifying light disappeared, the Six Paths' body swayed. His face was pale. Both of his arms were completely broken and hung limply by his side. There were hundreds of bloody holes on his body. Blood was flowing out. His face was full of fear. You actually broke my 6 Dao fists. Who are you? He was too shocked. When did such a demonic expert come to Holy Abyss City? Remember, my name is Mo Guang. As soon as his voice fell, another extremely powerful light of demon god rushed over. The 6 paths fought with all his strength, but he was still sent flying. He landed in the distance and vomited blood. He seemed to be seriously injured. No. Impossible. Nalan Yenran was stunned. That was the 6 paths. He was ranked 2001 on the glory leaderboard. But now, in less than 100 moves, he was severely injured by the other party? The person in front of him was too terrifying. What kind of person did he provoke? Senior, please attack. I know you still have a trump card. Nalan Yenran roared. However, the 6 paths' expression was extremely ugly. He gritted his teeth and said, I won't interfere in this matter anymore. I won't take the rest of your reward either. After that, he closed his eyes and ignored her. How could this be? Nalan Yenran was completely stunned. In her eyes, the 6 paths was her biggest backer. In her opinion, he could definitely sweep away everything. But now, the 6 paths said he didn't care about her. What should she do? She would probably end up in a miserable state. She looked at the people around her and said, hurry up and attack. I'll give whoever kills him a world. However, the people around her retreated in fear. The black-robed man in front of them sneered. He waved his hand and a black storm flew out. It turned into dozens of black dragons and tore them to pieces. For a moment, all sorts of screams and blood rain could be heard. Everyone was dead. Other than Nalan Yenran and the 6 paths, only Lin Xian and Nalan Liang were left. Nalan Liang was completely stunned. This was too terrifying. Could it be that he was going to fall here today? Nalan Yenran was so scared that she fell to the ground. Her face was filled with fear. The black-robed man walked in front of her and looked down at her. Nalan Yenran raised her head and said, I'll give you a world as compensation. Please spare my life. A world? The black-robed man sneered. If you give me the Nalan family, I'll consider sparing your life. Nalan Yenran was in despair. What a joke. She wasn't the leader. How could she give the family to someone else? Even if she was the leader, she couldn't do it. Nalan Yenran knelt down. Although she was a genius, she didn't want to die. Even the 6 paths in front of her wasn't a match for the black-robed man. The black-robed man could kill her with just a finger. Hence, she didn't dare to resist. She said, Senior, I was wrong. I shouldn't have attacked your junior brother. I beg to be your junior brother's battle servant as long as you spare my life. Also, you won't get any benefits from killing me. You won't get any resources. Also, I'm the strongest person in the Nalan family. If I die, the family will definitely take revenge for me. My Nalan family has top experts and a terrifying great sage. When they attack together, Senior will be in danger. The black-robed man laughed. Are you threatening me? Chapter 48-38. Nalan Yenran was in despair. It didn't matter if she begged or threatened the other party. The other party didn't seem to be afraid of anything. This kind of person was the most terrifying. Nalan Liang looked at this scene and felt his scalp tingle. Was this the number 1 genius of their family? But now he was kneeling like an ant and begging for mercy. How ironic. But if it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to raise their head. What he was most worried about was whether the other party would make a move on them after killing Nalan Yenran. If the other party made a move, none of them would be able to resist. Nalan Yenran wanted to die. Her face was filled with despair as she kept kowtowing. However, at this moment, a voice sounded. Fairy Nalan, give me 2 world cores and I can save your life. Hearing this, Nalan Yenran's body trembled and hope returned to her eyes. It was the 6 paths rogue. Was he going to make a move again? Although he was defeated previously, he definitely had a powerful trump card. If he took out a terrifying sacred weapon or used the 6 paths gate secret technique, he might be able to escape with her. But when she turned around, she saw that it wasn't the 6 paths rogue but Lin Xian. The light in her eyes disappeared and she fell into despair again. Lin Xian was strong, but he was the same as her. If they met, wouldn't they have to kneel and beg for mercy? Nalan Liang, who was standing at the side, was also stunned. He was still thinking about how to escape, but he did not expect Lin Xian to directly ask to save his ancestral sister. But could Lin Xian do it? Although Nalan Liang knew that Lin Xian was strong, the black-robed man in front of him was too terrifying. Even the Six Paths rogue was no match for him. As expected, the Six Paths rogue opened his eyes and stared at Lin Xian as if he was looking at an idiot. Even he couldn't defeat the other party, let alone a young man. It seemed that the other party was tired of living. Lin Xian picked up the herbal tea on the table and took a sip. Then he looked at the stunned Nalan Yanran. He faintly said again, "What's wrong, Fairy Nalan? Don't tell me you don't understand? Give me 2 worlds and I'll save your life. You only have 1 chance, so consider it carefully." The black-robed man was thoroughly enraged. A young ant actually dared to say such words? Was he looking down on him? What an ignorant fool. An extremely terrifying killing intent erupted from his eyes, enveloping the surrounding void in front of him. The sky fell and the earth cracked. However, Lin Xian was safe and sound. The black-robed man was stunned. He was surprised that Yi Futian had some strength. No wonder Yi Futian dared to be so arrogant, but so what? It was just blocking his gaze. Could the other party block his true strength? Nalan Yanran was also stunned. To be honest, a bit of hope had returned to her eyes. However, her instincts told her that Lin Xian was no match for him. If she were to agree to Lin Xian's request now, she would completely infuriate the black-robed man. She would have no chance of survival at all. The black-robed man sneered. "Brat, I originally thought that after killing Nalan Yanran I would slowly deal with you guys. If he was in a good mood he could even let them go. However, you actually dared to jump out recklessly. Well then, no one here can think about walking out alive today." Hearing this, Nalan Yanran almost fainted. Even the Six Paths' pupils constricted. Damn it, he was going to be killed by this brat. Nalan Liang said, "Boss Lin, why don't we hurry up and run?" Lin Xian put down the spirit tea and stood up with a smile. "None of you want to live? Aren't you a bit too arrogant? You think you can't kill me? If you cultivate for a few thousand years you might be able to. But not now." The black-robed man's face completely darkened. Demonic chi filled the sky, and demonic flames danced in his eyes. "Brat, you have completely angered me. I will make you suffer. I will let you experience what it means to live a life worse than death." He reached out a demonic hand and grabbed at Lin Xian. Everywhere it passed there was no place that could resist it. Lin Xian stood there without moving. His eyes were filled with confidence. When the black hand reached him he stretched out his fist. When he punched, it was like a golden sun that shone in all directions. Boom. With one strike the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Lightning filled the surroundings. The large black hand was blocked and even forced back. How was that possible? Nalan Yanran's pupils constricted. She couldn't believe that this young man was as strong as her. What kind of joke was this? The Six Paths' expression changed. What powerful strength, what terrifying physique. Could this young man have the legendary ancient desolate body? Nalan Liang was even more dumbfounded. It seemed that Boss Lin's strength was beyond her imagination. Everyone knew that they had underestimated Lin Xian. Nalan Yanran hurriedly said, "Young Master Lin, save my life and I will give you 3 worlds." She saw hope. Lin Xian was her savior. She had to grab hold of him. Lin Xian's lips curled up. "Very well, I will save your life. You are courting death." The black-robed man stood out. He was completely enraged. "If you want to die, I will fulfill your wish." He slapped down again. His 5 fingers emitted a terrifying demonic aura that turned into 5 demonic dragons that swept across the sky. He wanted to kill Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian's body was surrounded by 9 illusions of suns. His fist was even more terrifying than the ancient golden crow. One punch could shatter everything. Boom. The 5 demonic dragons were shattered. The black hand was torn into pieces. The black-robed man retracted his hand. His pale face became ferocious. How was that possible? He didn't hold back this time, but he was still no match for Lin Xian. It was unbelievable. The Six Paths beside him was even crazier. He had fought with Lin Xian before and knew how strong he was. The young man in front of him was more powerful than him? What kind of divine being was this? After Lin Xian's punch succeeded, he attacked again. His fists were like thousands of meteors, forcing the black-robed man to retreat. The black-robed man roared. "Demon." He roared, and endless demonic aura appeared around him. Light of the demon god. Thousands of rays of black light turned into sharp black swords that pierced through the sky. Nalan Yanran was extremely nervous. This was Lin Xian's ultimate move. It was the same move that defeated the Six Paths. The Six Paths' expression also became serious. Could the kid in front of him block it? Lin Xian snorted. He used the 10,000 dragon divine blood, and the illusion of a dragon appeared behind him. Sword. Lin Xian pointed at the sky. The sword dragon behind him roared. Its scales flew out and turned into divine swords that fell into Lin Xian's hand. One sword to slay the demon. This sword was like the light of the North Pole, becoming the only thing in the world. Everyone's soul trembled. After that sword, the light of the demon god shattered. One of the black-robed man's arms was cut off, and half of his body turned into a bloody mist. Chapter 48-39. A cold voice sounded out, shocking countless people. Nalan Yinran was incomparably terrified. She had always thought that Lin Xian's strength was similar to hers, but how could it be like this? This person had completely surpassed her, reaching an unfathomable level. The black-robed demon Shine clenched his teeth and asked, "Just who are you?" "My name is Lin Xian, a disciple of the True Dao sect." "Lin Xian. True Dao sect. Good boy, I'll remember you." Demon Shine coldly snorted and then looked at Nalan Yinran. "You're lucky today to be able to keep your life. But in the future I'll send you to hell." After he finished speaking, he turned to leave. Nalan Yinran let out a sigh of relief. This was great. Her life was saved today. Afterwards, she didn't want to leave her family for the next 100 years. However, Lin Xian coldly snorted. "Stop right there. Did I say you could leave?" Demon Shine was stunned. He turned his head, his eyes erupting with a biting cold killing intent. "Boy, what do you want?" Lin Xian smiled. "Before you were high and mighty. If you wanted to kill me, you would kill me. But now that you can't beat me, you want to leave with just a few words? There's no such thing in this world. Do you want to kill me?" Demon Shine was also angry. Leaving today was already giving this person a lot of face. Lin Xian smiled. "That's right." He stepped forwards, his aura erupting as an even more terrifying strength appeared. Since he had already attacked, how could he easily hold back? Saving Nalan Yinran wasn't enough. He wanted to thoroughly subdue the Nalan family. "Stupid thing, do you really think I don't have any more cards in my hand?" Demon Shine's face was ice cold. He clenched his teeth and said, "Good. I originally didn't want to use some taboo martial arts, but since you want to die, I'll help you." His palms constantly formed seals as terrifying demonic runes appeared on his body. An incomparably terrifying aura appeared. Summon the Demon Lord. Behind him, endless demonic energy condensed into a vortex. From within, a dark shadow appeared, bobbing up and down. This dark shadow was tall like a demon god. He stood there overlooking all. In his hand was a black spear. It was also an illusion, but it exuded a destructive aura. This was bad. Nalan Yinran frightened. Nalan Liang also retreated far away, and Six Pads' pupils shrank. Stupid thing. He cursed inwardly. The demonic shadow that he had summoned was enough to threaten his life. With a sway of his body, he tore the void apart and flew into the distance. There was no need to watch the battle before them. That brat was strong, but he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this sure-kill attack. He would definitely die if he stayed here, so it was better for him to escape first. Calm Six Pads. A golden glow appeared in Lin Xian's eyes as he watched the fleeing figure. The seal of reincarnation struck the figure. The whole process was so quiet that even Six Pads didn't notice. "That?" Lin Xian was disdainful. "You dare to underestimate Lord Devil Master?" The weapon in his hand is the divine weapon of the demon realm, Shattering Spear. "You don't understand anything. You dare to look down on the Demon Lord?" He took a step forward. The heavens fell and the earth cracked. The void around him shattered. The illusion behind him also walked out. The black spear in his hand swayed. The heavens fell and the earth cracked. An aura of destruction appeared. Nalan Yinran and Nalan Yinran were frightened. They almost fainted. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. He even had a strange expression. "Shattering Spear? Could it be the Shattering Spear? You actually know about it? Then you should have heard of it. In the legends, the Shattering Spear could destroy the heavens and earth. Although it was only an illusion, it still had supreme power. Kneel down and accept your death." Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't think that this illusion was related to the Shattering Spear. Could it be that the Demon Lord was also from the Great Demon Clan? But soon he laughed. "Stupid ant. If you took out something else, you might have been able to scare me. But Shattering Spear? You are too ridiculous. Let me tell you what true Shattering Spear is." Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a cold light. He flicked his hand and a black light flew out from his storage ring. He caught it. This was a black spear. Lin Xian thrust it into the skies. The surrounding heavens and earth cracked. What was this? Nalin Yenran was shocked. That spear also had an extremely terrifying aura of destruction. Across from him, Demon Shine's pupils shrank. He roared out. Impossible. He seemed to have discovered the most terrifying thing of all. The weapon in Lin Xian's hand was far too similar to the illusion he had summoned. Even the aura was the same. Lin Xian was holding the shattering spear? But that was a divine tool of the demon world. How could Lin Xian have it? Just who are you? Are you also from the demon race? Lin Xian smiled. He said, I don't need to explain to a dead man. The shattering spear danced in the air, rushing forwards. This strike was enough to destroy everything. Damn it. Demon Shine was enraged. Kill. Although he didn't know how Lin Xian had obtained the shattering spear, he had to bring it back. He had to kill Lin Xian, take it, and offer it to the demon lord. As the two sides collided, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. It had to be said that Demon Shine was extremely strong. He was far above scattered six paths. Moreover, Lin Xian had burned his laws and bloodline to display his ultimate skills. This was even more terrifying. However, Lin Xian's shattering spear was already terrifying to begin with. In addition, he galvanized the Great Dragon Sword soul with all of his strength. The Great Dragon Sword's strength poured into the shattering spear, causing the demonic artifact to come to life. It turned into a shattering dragon, dancing between the heavens and earth. Bang bang. The illusion that Demon Shine had summoned instantly shattered. As for Demon Shine, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was torn apart. Damn it. His soul wanted to flee. He had to flee back and report this matter to the Demon Lord. Stay here. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a terrifying light. Samsara Heavenly Steel. A terrifying eye technique erupted, forming two heavenly steels that directly suppressed Demon Shine. No. Demon Shine's soul had been severely wounded. This was the power of Samsara. Spare my life. My master is the Demon Lord. If you kill me, he won't let you go. Demon Shine was panic-stricken. Against an ordinary great sage's soul, even if Lin Xian used an extremely powerful eye technique, he still wouldn't be afraid. But, with the power of Samsara, he really couldn't block it. Lin Xian didn't stop. With a cold snort, the two Samsara heavenly steels shattered Demon Shine's soul. Lin Xian's hand reached out and grabbed onto a soul fragment. His eyes flashed as he read the information within. Then he crushed the soul fragment. With this, Demon Shine's soul vanished into thin air. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian took Demon Shine's storage ring. Then he looked at Nalin Yenran in the corner. Chapter 48-40. Hearing Lin Xian's words, Nalin Yenran's body shook. Was it over? She didn't dare to believe it. Looking at the bloody mist that Demon Shine had turned into, her face was pale. Before coming, she had thought of countless possibilities. She had even thought that Six Paths wouldn't be able to defeat Lin Xian and would escape with her. However, she never thought that Demon Shine would be killed by Lin Xian. And Six Paths had escaped ahead of time. She could only say that this world was too mysterious. Nalin Yenran stood up and said, "Thank you, Sir Lin, for saving my life." She looked at Lin Xian with a trace of fear in her eyes. After all, he was a supreme existence that could kill Demon Shine. Lin Xian smiled and nodded. "What about the thing you promised me before?" Nalin Yenran was stunned. Then she remembered that in order to save her life, she had promised to give him 3 world cores. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath and said, "Since I promised you, I naturally won't go back on my word. I'll go back to my family and gather them. Sir, please give me some time." Lin Xian nodded. He wasn't afraid that she would run away. After all, she was from the Nalin family. Lin Xian smiled and said, "I'll send Fairy Nalin back." Then he waved his hand and sent a surge of energy into Nalin Liang. Nalin Liang was so scared that he couldn't stand up. Now that he was enveloped by Lin Xian's energy, he recovered his strength. He said, "Boss Lin, you were too cool just now. You were like a god." He knew that following Lin Xian was the right choice. From now on, he would follow him for the rest of his life. Nalin Yenran was also shocked. She didn't think that Nalin Liang would find such a backer. She quickly took out a scroll from her storage ring and said, "Take it. This is the moon returning to the cloud painting. Take it. If you need anything in the future, just tell me. As your sister, I'll definitely agree." "Okay, then I won't be polite." Nalin Liang directly took it. He had wanted this scroll for a long time. Of course, he also knew that this was all because of Lin Xian, which was why the other party was so polite to him. Next, Lin Xian sent Nalan Yanran back to the Nalan family. At the same time he asked Nalan Liang to stay. As for the explanation, let the other party handle it. On the other hand, Lin Xian's figure flashed and flew into the distance. Many people of the Nalan family were waiting nervously. They didn't know how Nalan Yanran was doing. Nalan Yanran's father said, "With the help of the 6 Tao cultivators, there would be no problem." An old man nodded in agreement. "That's for sure. This time we've paid a huge price to give them 2 realm cores." Just like that, after a long and anxious wait, they finally saw a figure walking back. "Yanran, you're back?" The middle-aged man walked up happily. "Where is the vagabond 6 Pats?" The old man said, "I want to thank him personally." In their opinion, the only reason Nalan Yanran was able to come back alive was because of the 6 Pats vagabond. "Father, grandfather." Nalan Yanran was also crying. Her eyes were red. However, when she heard the middle-aged man's words, she said, "It's not the vagabond 6 Pats. That guy was defeated and ran away halfway." "What?" The 2 people in front of her were stunned. "It's not the vagabond 6 Pats? Why did Nalan Yanran come back? Could it be that she had reconciled with the enemy?" No, Nalan Yanran told him what had happened before. Then her grandfather and father were shocked. "You're saying that a young man killed Demonshine? That's impossible." The middle-aged man also shook his head. Even the vagabond 6 Pats was defeated. How could a young man withstand it? Nalan Yanran said, "I saw it with my own eyes. Moreover, he's a disciple of the Tao sect." "How do you know such a young expert?" the old man asked. Nalan Yanran said, "I didn't invite him but Nalan Liang. Nalan Liang has already recognized Lin Xian as his boss. He wants the cloud returning painting in my hands, so he invited him." "It's actually Nalan Liang." The middle-aged man was shocked, but the old man's brows were tightly knitted together. This didn't seem good. Nalan Liang was also a member of the Nalan family, but his status in the family was far worse than Yanran's. But now Nalan Liang had found such a powerful backer. The situation in the future was uncertain. He frowned and said, "Yanran, go find Nalan Liang. We have to thank him properly." Nalan Yanran left. The old man's face sank. It seemed that the family situation had changed. They had to be careful of this Nalan Liang. At the same time, do your best to find out who this Lin Xian is. "Father, are you saying that Nalan Liang will threaten Yanran's status? How is that possible?" The difference in talent between the two was too great. The old man shook his head. "We weren't worried before, but with this Lin Xian, anything is possible. Don't worry, when he comes over we'll find out who this Lin Xian is." They made up their minds and began to move. On the other side, Lin Xian was flying quickly. Previously, when the vagabond 6 Pads escaped, he left a soul mark on him. Now he was going to find him. In the east of Holy Abyss Ancient City, there was a cliff. It was very steep, as if it was split open by a heavenly sword. On the cliff, people below the great sage did not dare to come. At this moment there was a figure sitting cross-legged there. Endless light flickered on his body, and there were 6 light figures around him, as if they were connected to 6 worlds. He was the vagabond 6 Pats. His palms were constantly forming seals, and there were pills and treasures beside him. Not long after, he opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it! The demonic aura was too terrifying. Previously, when he was pierced by the light of the demon god, the demonic aura was left in his body. Now he was removing it bit by bit. This time he was too careless. He did not expect to meet such a terrifying demonic expert. But fortunately he was able to escape. It seemed that the little girl from the Nalan family would not be able to escape. Even that Lin Xian would definitely die. Thinking of this, he sneered. Fortunately he was smart and ran quickly. At this time, a faint voice sounded behind him. "What are you so happy about? Tell me." The vagabond 6 Pads was horrified. Who was it? He suddenly turned around as if he was facing a great enemy. He thought that Demonshine had come to kill him. But soon he realized that it was not him. Behind him, a man in a black robe walked out. "It's you?" He was shocked. "You are that Lin Xian? You didn't die? Could it be that Demonshine spared you?" "Spared me?" Lin Xian laughed. "You really don't have any imagination. Can't you imagine that he has already been killed by me? Demonshine was dead. Or was he killed by the other party?" The vagabond 6 Pads was stunned. Then he shook his head. "Impossible. Kid, don't try to lie to me." He knew how terrifying Demonshine was. How could he die? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.